Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the Critical Cynic. How is everybody doing tonight? All right, so as I said in previous videos, I was going to try and set aside a live stream specifically for questions that didn't really have to do a whole lot with movies or television, things dealing with politics, religion, theology, things like that. So I wanted this chat to be more of an open forum type setup where you can talk, you can ask those kinds of questions, you can talk about those things, and I will gladly entertain those types of questions and comments tonight. But of course, we can still also talk about the things we normally talk about, which is movies and each other and how we're all doing and all that stuff. So pretty much it's not totally different from what we normally do, but I did want to also expand it out to other questions that people have been asking that I have not been able to ask, or that I've said, hey, ask that another time. Now is the time to ask those questions or to talk about those things. And so, yeah, hope everyone is doing well as we start to get some people in here. All right, we already got 9 people. Awesome. How is everybody doing tonight? How has everybody's weekend been? I know that the weekend flew by for me, and I do not want to go back to work because I've just been really enjoying it. But I will say I am quite excited because I'm going on my theme park trip this weekend. I mean, rather this week, and we are leaving Tuesday evening, and I'm very excited for that. I haven't been on a roller coaster in over a year and almost 2 years at this point, and I need to get my roller coaster fix in because I freaking love roller coasters so much. They're a huge passion of mine. For a long time, I wanted to be one of those people that travel around the country and just ride a bunch of roller coasters because I would freaking love to do that, because there are people who essentially are paid to do that, and I always was so jealous of them because I always wanted to have that job because it just looks like so much fun. All right, let me go ahead and get this out on Twitter and then get chat up. We are live. But yeah, let me know. How was y'all's weekend? Did y'all do anything fun? Have y'all seen Ant-Man and the Wasp? Have y'all seen Jurassic World? I know that Jeremy at Geeks and Gamers just released reviews for both of them, which I love because I love his Star Wars content, but I also really now am liking that he's starting to put more reviews out there because, I mean, I'm a huge movie buff, and so I always love to see that kind of information out there. So, all right, let me get this up and running. Let's see if it'll actually show up when I open my YouTube app this time. That would be nice. That would make it very, very easy. And of course it isn't. Hold on, guys. I'm going to get to the comments in a second. I have to go to my own Twitter, click on my own link. That would be nice. There we go. And the chat is live. What is up, everybody? We got 12 people in here. Greta, what is up, Greta? Hello, Greta. How are you this evening? Super says, perfect timing. Awesome. I'm glad that's perfect timing for you. Laura, Ryan stole my fan fiction story, says, hey, what's up, Laura? How are you doing? Super Anime Gamer 01 says, what's up, Odin? What's up, Super? Mech says, which theme park? So I am going to Six Flags. I think it's Six Flags America? Six Flags Over America. It's the one that's at Chicago. So I'm flying to Chicago Tuesday night, and then we're going to be in that park on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we're flying back Friday morning. So we'll have 2 full days in the park, and I'm very excited for that. Laura says, wee! Absolutely. Makita says Six Flags. Yes, it is a Six Flags park. Egg, NJE103 Egg, what is up? Good evening to you, good sir. Brad Noble says, as Al Bundy would say, let's rock. Yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes. I love anytime anyone references Al Bundy, I'm very happy. So, Brad, thank you for that. Brad is our pet troll for anyone that might be new. But he's awesome. Meg says, don't stand up. Yeah. No, I won't. Darskipio says, hello, Odin. Hello, Darskipio. Egg says, worked all weekend. Yeah, you've been working a lot. I feel like every time we're live streaming, it's always like, have you on the background working. Like, you've been working your tail off, man. Greta says, it's been kind of a stressful weekend, actually looking forward to the week. Really? Okay. Well, that's very good. I'm hoping that you get some rest this week because I know that I am, because I'm going to work on Monday, and then I'm taking Tuesday off to just get things ready for my trip. And I'll be on my trip through Friday, and then I get home early Friday, but I'm not going to go to work on Friday because I would just be too tired, and I'd rather just, take it easy. Brad Evans says, watch a Godzilla marathon. Wow, that's awesome. I do like classic Godzilla. I don't remember them all that well because I would only watch them casually whenever they'd come on TV, but I remember always just really enjoying them, having a lot of fun with them. So I can appreciate that. Garbo the VS, that's new. So Garbo the VS, welcome to the chat. Says, nope, didn't do squat this weekend. I went to see Jurassic World. I believe Dishonored Wolf puts it best on how I feel. Okay, yeah. So Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, so Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, I feel that Jeremy kind of puts it best because I haven't seen it yet either, but I've gotten this from a lot of people. I know that there are some people that really liked it a lot, but for me, it kind of just comes across as a popcorn film. Like that's when I go to see it, that's what I'm going to expect to see. I'm not going to expect anything groundbreaking. I'm not going to expect to see Jurassic Park, which just changed the game in so many different ways. I'm going to expect to watch it and shove popcorn in my mouth. Like that is what I am expecting from Jurassic World 2. That's just me personally. But that's awesome that you're able to see that this weekend. Mex says, anyone else finding the end to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom infuriating? I have not seen it yet, but I do really want to, just to understand, because I know Jeremy mentioned that he actually liked the ending a lot. Yeah, hopefully someone else in the chat can connect with you on that, because I don't have it. Egg says, good news, I am off tonight. That is awesome, Egg. I'm so glad that you finally have a day and you finally have a night off. That's awesome. Garwa says, thank you. Mr. Peabody, what is up, Mr. Peabody? LO, I've been waiting for you to be on. Yeah, because I got on early and I saw that there was someone waiting in here, so it must have been you. So what's up, Mr. Peabody? Welcome back to the chat. H. Wong, what's up? Welcome back, man. I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp today. It is good. It is really good. I really liked it a lot. And so I think it's funny because apparently the Wall Street Journal, yeah, maybe Wall Street Journal. My wife was telling me this, that the Wall Street Journal did not give it a very positive review. And I think that's really interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if people in the media are giving it a negative review. I mean, overall, the critics have been very positive. But I feel like if you're going to give it a negative review, it has more to do with the fact that they probably were expecting this film to do more with the character of the Wasp, and then they didn't, and they didn't like that. That's just my own personal opinion. I have no proof of that, but it definitely seems like they were expecting it to be a different kind of film than it ended up being, because I thought it was great. I thought it was so funny. Didn't really get political or SJW at all, which I like, because I don't like when that nonsense gets put in the film, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just a good time. Again, was it groundbreaking? Was it the best Marvel film ever? No, but it was fun. It's a fun time. Like, it's worth spending the money to go see it in theaters. That's what I would say about that. Let's see. Mr. Peabody says, want to name you Cobber. Australians will understand. What is Cobber? Yeah, I don't understand that at all. So please explain, what does Cobber mean? Stephanie B, what is up, Stephanie B? Hello. I'm so glad that your dog seems to be doing better. That was, when I was reading that, I was scared, because I know what it's like when my dogs, there was actually a time, it reminded me of a time just like maybe a month or two ago, where our dogs used to wear collars until this happened. And they were fighting, and they got caught. Their collars got caught together, and one of them was essentially being choked. And there was enough where our dog, where Willow could still breathe, but she was definitely being choked. And it was terrifying, because we couldn't get it off. Ended up having to get some scissors and to cut the collar off, because it was that tight on there, and it was terrifying. So I totally understand what you went through, Stephanie B, and I know that can be really scary, but I'm glad to know that he's doing better. Let's see. Garbo the VS says, isn't it nuts that almost all movie blockbusters were from Marvel? I know, right? I mean, it's just, and also too, it just flies in the face of everything that's being said about Star Wars. They're saying, oh, there's a Star Wars fatigue. Remember, that was the narrative there. Notice how they're not talking about that anymore, because it just wasn't working. No one was buying it, because you look at Marvel, in the past 10 years, they made 20 films, and every single one of them has made a profit. In fact, several of them have turned huge profits and have made billions of dollars. So I'm sorry, but there's just no argument there. And yeah, it's because Marvel's doing it right. It's because Kevin Feige knows what he's doing. He's a forward-thinking executive. He knows exactly what should be done when, and he's doing a great job with it. That's why they need a mind like that at Star Wars, because Star Wars could be that. You could have an MCU-like universe within Star Wars. You could have these isolated stories like they try to do with Solo. The problem was that Solo was not the right movie to do. You didn't cast the right people. You didn't hire the right director, or writers in this case especially, and that's the reason why it failed. I mean, again, you need a good executive, though. That's like the first thing you need. You need a good executive who's going to hire the right people and also pick the right project, and also not greenlight a decision that's going to make the movie cost twice as much as it once did, and then the movie itself doesn't make it up. Like, that's the biggest problem with it. So that's why it's so frustrating. But absolutely, I totally understand what you're talking about the Marvel. Marvel has been rocking it right now so far. Mr. POI says, Australian slang. I assume such. Jason Clark, welcome back, Jason Clark. Glad to see you here. What's up, everybody? What's up, Jason Clark? How are you doing, sir? Super says, yesterday was pretty cool, but I have done next to nothing today. But it sucks because I have 3 reviews to write for my website. Well, also, please, I think you're on Twitter, Super. So if you are, please link me to those. If you've already been linking me to those, because sometimes because YouTube names are not always the same as Twitter names, I sometimes get confused on who's tweeting me and who's connecting me and who I know is like a part of the streams. So please link me to those, though, because I would love to check those reviews out. But that's awesome. That's fantastic. Sith Lord Luke Skywalker says, Odin, what's up, Sith Lord? Go check him out on Twitter. His is one where I know his Twitter is the same as his YouTube channel, so definitely go check him out. Brad Noble says, no, man, I went Godzilla old school. Old school Godzilla is the best Godzilla. Definitely better than Matthew Broderick Godzilla, that's for sure. Jarakatsu says, I've seen a movie called Fireworks. It has a limited showing. I saw a ad for it, so I don't know exactly what it's about, but I did see, I know I've heard of the movie before, though. So welcome to the chat. That's a new name, so welcome to the chat. Mech says, oddly enough, in spite of my frustration with the ending, I still agree with Jeremy about looking forward to seeing where the filmmakers go with Jurassic World 3 if it materializes. I think it will. I think the fact that this movie has already made its money back and is already making profit, there's going to be a Jurassic World 3. It doesn't matter what the critics say. It doesn't matter what the overall reviews are. It's made money, and they're going to keep, studios will always put forth movies as long as they keep on making money. It's when they start to break even and lose money that they stop. That's why everyone's looking at Star Wars saying, okay, well, you just made a movie that lost money, so why are you still going the way that you are? Why not change things up a bit? But yeah, that's what I heard too. So that's interesting that you hated it, but also it makes you want to see the next one, and it makes me want to see it too, because I've seen like a little bit of it, just from other means, because I kind of just wanted to like have an idea of what I was going to get myself into. And there's definitely a lot of rough material in the film. But I want to go see it in theaters. I want to go and, give my money to it, just so that way, even though the film might not be good, I'd rather give my money to that and show, hey, remember that guy you kicked off, Colin Trevorrow? Yeah, he just wrote a film that made, bank at the box office. That's my whole mindset for, paying for it. Mr. P.I. says probably equivalent to Buddy. Okay, nice. Oh, okay, so at first I was like, it's like, hello, Kaba. Is that kind of like, hello, Kaba? What's up, Kaba? I mean, I'm probably putting the wrong accent. I'm probably putting more of a British accent on, but I've actually, now that I'm like using it in that context, it makes a little bit more sense. I think I've heard that before. But yeah, awesome. I appreciate that, Mr. Peabody. Sort of Damocles, welcome back, Sort of Damocles. Hello, all you wonderful people. What would the best Star Wars movie story-wise you want to see created? What would be the best Star Wars movie story-wise you'd want to see created? That's a hard question, especially as someone who doesn't have the extended knowledge of the extended universe, as a lot of other people in this chat probably do. I don't really have a whole lot of knowledge, but I do know that out of the ones that have been proposed that I know enough about their character, I really want to see an Obi-Wan film. I know that a lot of other people do as well, because he is probably the most interesting character that they really have left from the EU that they could make an independent film off of, because they still have the actor who portrayed him in the prequels, because they still have Ewan McGregor, and Ewan McGregor has showed interest in playing that character again. So I think I would like to see the Obi-Wan film, especially while Ewan McGregor is still, still young enough to be able to play young Obi-Wan Kenobi, or younger Obi-Wan Kenobi, and be able to still pull off and play him between the end of 3 and the beginning of 4, or even another independent story with his character, I think would be awesome too. So that's the one that I want to see most right now out of the ones I know about. Boba Fett doesn't interest me as much, because I don't really know a whole lot. I mean, I know that he probably has a lot of stories in the extended universe, but I don't really know those stories very well, so I don't know much about his character. But I do know enough about Obi-Wan in the films, and I know that I love Obi-Wan. In fact, Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi was probably one of the only parts that I really thoroughly enjoyed about the prequels. I know that there's some people in here who like the prequels. I'm not one of those people. Again, I'll always be honest about that, but I did like him. He was fantastic in that series, and so I would love to see him come back. And also, it would then really officially tie in the prequels to the original trilogy, and I think that would be really cool. Stephanie says, hello, sweet only a humble. Well, thank you very much, Steph. I appreciate that. Stephanie is one of my Valkyrie, and she is awesome. Brad Noble says, easy peg, do you know how many shoes I fit today? What? Sword Damocles says, smash the like button like you are the Hulk. Yes, please smash that like button. For everyone that's here, please hit that like button, because I definitely appreciate it. We never get too high on the likes here, but I just like to see that people like the content. So basically, if you like what you're hearing right now, if you've been here before and you like this content, you keep coming back, hit that like button. It does not take very long, and I do greatly appreciate it. So thank you, Damocles, for that. Brad Noble says, get Steph a digital bonbon. We only give out digital cookies here, but I do appreciate that nonetheless. Let's see. Garba says, Lucasfilm needs to do some serious reevaluating, and KK needs to go. The fan base is having a civil war. The media is pulling a Fembusters. Had they did a Knights of the Republic movie, or hell, make Rey, and let me just finish that statement. Neither changed. Okay, you didn't finish your statement there. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so yeah, you were saying that they need to reevaluate. I mean, Kathleen Kennedy needs to go. She is not a good executive. I mean, again, she might be good at certain things. I'm not going to tear her down as a person because I don't know her, but as an executive, she's made terrible decisions. And so based on that, she should not be in the position that she's in. And they need to put in someone who, again, is forward thinking. That's what they need. They need someone who can plan 10 years ahead and say, here's where we're going first, then here, just like they're doing in Marvel. Because again, the Star Wars universe is so broad, is so expansive, especially with the extended universe, that you can make so many different films. You can make so many different stories, and they're just not doing that. And how do you do that? You get an executive who will actually make it happen. So I agree with you there. And yeah, there's definitely a civil war going among the fan base, and they are so downplaying. I actually talked about this in the video that I did today, where they're still just acting like they're still calling it the supposed fan backlash. And no, there's no supposed anything. There is a fan backlash. You can debate the numbers. You can question the percentages, but you cannot deny that there is an active fan backlash, that there are several thousands of people, there are thousands of people who are upset by this. I mean, again, just look at Geeks and Gamers, look at all their subs, look at Ethan Van Sciver, look at all these channels. There are thousands and thousands of people who agree with what's being said. And a lot of that is that we're upset with Kathleen Kennedy in the direction that they're taking it. And yeah, absolutely. I think a Knights of the Old Republic movie would be a really cool film. But I don't want to see that under the current regime because they just don't know what they're doing. Steph says, how is your lovely wife? She is doing very well. She is tired and a little bit, a little sick, but she had a lot of fun in Tulsa. And also she she wanted me to say for the stream that she can be called, she doesn't mind me saying her name, but she says, oh, might as well just call me Frigga. Since I am Odin. But she is doing just fine. Mex says, the standalone Star Wars films could have worked if they had done the Thrawn trilogy, then use standalone films to provide background about the characters in the trilogy. I've heard so much about the Thrawn trilogy. That's why I cannot wait to dive into that trilogy, because I've heard so many good things. The original trilogy, not the new ones. I heard the new ones aren't very good, but I heard the original Thrawn trilogy is fantastic. And based on what I've heard, I think you're absolutely right. I think that would make a good trilogy. And again, they could be making so many good films right now with all the content that they have at their disposal. They have so much content because, again, me alone, I've already gotten so many books, so many characters that I have known nothing about that sound awesome that they could do so much with, but they're just not. They're just refusing to do it. Let's see. Mr. Peabody says, my dog used to sleep through thunderstorms. People used to ask about, oh, great. Ethan Van Sciver was going live, everybody. So I'm sure we're going to lose a few people from that. But he's awesome. So that would be fine. Mr. Peabody says, sorry, my dog used to sleep through thunderstorms. People used to ask how he did that. I just said that it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother him. Dogs are empathetic. Yeah, I agree with you. Again, whatever, they definitely feed off of your emotions. My dogs are not afraid of thunderstorms either. River is scared of fireworks, and that has nothing to, I'm not scared of fireworks, so I don't know where that came from. I think it's just because loud noises and she can't see it, and so I think that bothers her, and that's the reason why but I understand where you're coming from, because my dogs are not afraid of thunderstorms either, and I know a lot of dogs that are, and it definitely, dogs feed off of the emotions of their owners. I know that is definitely a fact. Garba says, either they changed course or we're about to see a Star Wars movie that makes less than $1 billion. That would be scary. Yes, we've already seen that with this film. This is the first, Solo is the first Star Wars film, at least of the new films, to not hit $1 billion, and not even to hit half to $1 billion. Again, this film, Solo, is only going to probably make around $400 million by the end of its run, by the time it's out of all theaters. That is awful. That is terrible. And the fact that it's losing money on top of that, it's not looking good for Star Wars right now. But you're right. I think Episode 9 will be the first episodic film to not only not break $1 billion, but also possibly lose money in the process. Because at this point, I think that there's still enough casual fans that could, support it to be able to bring the numbers up a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be enough to make it a huge financial success. And again, I think that at this point, my range for Episode 9 would be Justice League to Batman v Superman. And that is at the low end, $650 million, to the high end of about $875 million when those two films are broken down. And those are the numbers that I think it's going to make at this point. Now, if they keep going in this direction, if they continue to leak information about this film and it's the same old nonsense, that's when that number will start to go down. That range will start to go down for me. But I understand what you're talking about. Brad Noble says Godzilla super kicks and all. Man, I love, because also too is always great because, when you actually look at it later in life, you understand and can see all the different sets and all the just everything they worked with was just awesome. The guy in the suit who was, Godzilla. I love it. It's so great. Sith Lord Luke Skywalker says, picked up the Black Panther, probably going to watch it tonight. All right. Well, let me know what you thought. Sith Lord, did you see Black Panther at all? Have you seen that yet? I was not a huge fan. It was an okay film. I think I gave it a B- because it was a fine film. It just wasn't one of my favorites. It's not a film I ever have to watch again. But have you seen it yet? Let me know what you thought about it if you did, and let me know what you did think about it if after tonight you see it and you let me know. Jason Clark says, I would love to see a Yoda backstory myself, just my opinion. Hey, that would be cool too. I would rather see a Muppet, I don't know why I say Muppet, a puppet Yoda backstory film, or if they're going to do digital Yoda, they should make it an animated story. That's what I think. I think that would be really cool. It would be really awesome to find out more about that character, where he came from, who trained Yoda. I'm sure they jump into that in the extended universe, but it would be really cool to see that in a film. That is for sure. Let's see. Super says, another thing, though, is payoff. I'm tired of Marvel and I'm out after Infinity War, but I've watched from the start and I want to see the end. There's no fan loyalty with the SJW Star Wars. You're absolutely right about that. There's no fan loyalty at this point. Again, they're attacking the fans. That's their business model. They say, we're just going to attack the fans, and that's all there is to it. And it's a terrible business model. Again, if you attack the people that you want to buy your product, they're not going to buy your product. Again, that's common sense that you think that they would understand, but apparently they don't. And they think, everyone says, well, the people at Lucasfilm aren't the ones attacking. It's like, well, Rian Johnson is. He's a part of Lucasfilm. He's one of the directors. He's someone that they promised a trilogy to. Chuck Wendig, he's one of the writers of Star Wars stories. So he is a part of that universe as well. And yet, what they could do, Lucasfilm could really, I feel like, lessen everything if they were just to come out and make a public statement saying, we disavow everything that's being said. We love our fans. If they made some kind of public statement, I think they could fix a lot. Obviously, there's still more that they should do as far as like their executives and Kathleen Kennedy and all that stuff. But that's something so easy that they could do that could probably have a more positive effect in the long term. But yeah, for me, Marvel, I like Marvel. As long as they keep making good movies, I'm going to keep on watching. So I'm not saying, Infinity War 2, that's, or rather Avengers 4, that's where I'm going to stop. Because as long as they keep making good films, I'm going to keep on watching. The moment that they start to make bad films, especially if they start to let SJW nonsense into those films, that's when I'm going to stop. And so at this point, though, the first film that might do that is Captain Marvel, since Brie Larson's already kind of shown that side of her. But again, at this point, I do trust Kevin Feige to make good films that are going to make money. That's what I think. So again, until that changes, I'm not going to leave Marvel anytime soon, but I do understand why some people would get tired of Marvel. That's for sure. Jason Clark says, like maybe the days when Yoda was a Padawan. Oh my goodness, that would be so awesome. Again, I would like to see who trained Yoda. Yoda became one of the greatest Jedi Masters of all time. So who trained him? Who gave him the training that he needed to become that? Who gave him wisdom? That he didn't have that wisdom all of his life. And so it'd be so interesting to see that. You're absolutely right. Brad Noble says that was British. Yeah, probably. Mr. P.Y. says Kaba, spot on. Yeah, I figured that's how it's pronounced, Kaba. But I'm sure my accent was terrible. Sammy B says Kenobi. Yes, Kenobi would be an amazing film, I think. Mr. P.Y. says comic book, well, skilled in lightsaber and the ability to split hairs. Oh my goodness. I know, right? Like that comment was just so ridiculous. They said, oh, depending on what side of the debate you're on would determine whether or not you have any joy or whether you think we're just splitting hairs here. It's like, no, you're just splitting hairs. It doesn't matter what side of the debate, no matter what side of the fan divide you're on, the movie's going to lose money. And you spinning it in this way just does not make any sense. Max says, I would love to see an Obi-Wan film that takes place between episodes 3 and 4. Me too. There's a story about a Jedi that lived in the Tusken Raiders that clashed with Obi-Wan during that time. That Jedi later became Darth Krayt and founded the One Sith Order or New Sith Order. That sounds awesome. Mex is one of those guys that has a lot more knowledge of the EU than I do. That sounds fantastic. And you already have multiple films right there because you can have that first encounter, and then that is where you introduce that character, Darth Krayt, and then you can build off of it and give Darth Krayt his own movies as well. Again, there's so many things, just commonsensical things that they could be doing right now to make money and to make good Star Wars films. They're just not doing it. And one of the reasons why, again, is because Kathleen Kennedy, who's the one at the top, who's the president of Lucasfilm, doesn't know what she's doing. Again, she might be good at certain things. I don't know what those things are, but I'm sure she's good at something. And all I can tell you, though, is that she does not know how to build a franchise. She does not know how to build a franchise. And you want to see the evidence for that? Just look at all the films that have come out and how in succession they've all begun to lose money, and they're going to continue to lose money if they keep going in this direction. So that's a very good shot right there. Garba says they should just make a Kenobi film in between episodes 3 and 4. That would be the best course of action. I totally agree, because that's a film already that fans actually want to see. No one was coming like in mass and saying, we want a solo film. We want a solo film without Harrison Ford. No one was saying that. People for a while have been saying, we really want to see Ewan McGregor in his own Obi-Wan Kenobi film. People have been saying that, I think, since episode 3 came out. People have been wanting that film. So, I mean, you already have the audience there who want to see it. Ewan McGregor is a fantastic actor. Get a good script, get a good writer, get a good director, and you got yourself a good movie that's going to make a ton of money. And I don't know why they're doing that. It's probably because they just have no idea what they're doing. Will Last Name Guy says, I don't want an Obi-Wan movie. I don't want these people to make any more Star Wars films. Again, I agree with you there. I want to see those films because let me just like, we got to be clear on this. We want to see these movies. We want to see Star Wars movies. We just don't want to see it go in the direction that it's currently in. That is the big, caveat. We don't want to see the current people running Star Wars making these films because they've already shown that they cannot be trusted with Star Wars. But we do want to see these films. It's not that we don't want to see them. We love Star Wars. And that's the reason why we're being so passionate about this right now, is because we love it. We love this franchise. We love this universe, and we want to see it succeed. The problem is the people currently running it don't know how to do that. And so we don't want to see the movies that they're going to be making because they're just going to ruin the characters. In fact, a lot of people are making some very good points on the video I made yesterday on Mara Jade and the rumors about Kerry Russell maybe being Mara Jade. And they were saying she might be called Mara Jade, but she won't be Mara Jade. I think that's kind of the mindset, is that they can throw the names out there. They can put all these fan service characters in the movies. But unless they're actually those characters like we know them to be, then it's just a name. And it's just a shadow of what they could be. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. Brad Noel says, just let Star Killer murder Rey. Well, that would be violent. Invader 6 Dark Lord. What is up, Invader? Like 11? Greta says, random question. Have you seen The Greatest Showman? A lot of people I know say it's really good. Very good question, Greta. I have seen The Greatest Showman. I recommend it. I think you would like it. It's not for everyone. That is for sure. And I thought I was going to hate it because it just didn't look very good, but I loved it. I had so much fun with it. In fact, I saw it a second time with my wife because I liked it that much. Because it was just fun. It's one of those things where it's a fun movie. And also, when you see like the movie, when you see the cast, when you hear about the characters, you think to yourself, oh man, this is a movie that could totally go the SJW route, but it doesn't do that. And that's why I love it, because it tiptoes that line where it's saying, accept everyone for who they are, but it doesn't like go full bore on certain things. And so I think the stories that it ends up telling are actually really good. And I actually liked it. So Greta, I would recommend you seeing that because I think you would like it. So definitely a good question though. Let's see. Jason Clark says Darth Krayt is a very interesting character in the EU. Sounds like it. I mean, if he tussled with Obi-Wan Kenobi, then he must be awesome. Brad Noble says, yes, ma'am. No, it's no, ma'am. And I see Stephanie corrected you down at the bottom. Stephanie says, I see you, Bradley. Yeah, Brad, we all see you. You are our troll and we love you, but let's see. Super says, I'm not on Twitter yet. I do have to find out how to make a business account if I can. I'm hesitant with personal accounts and sharing because I use my real name on my site. Am I weird? No, not at all. I feel that a lot of people feel that way because I know that I was hesitant about that as well. That's why I don't have my actual name on my Twitter account because I know that I might like something or I might retweet something or I might say something that I don't want my personal name. I mean, I'm not going to say anything like controversial because obviously if you see my Twitter, I don't curse on my Twitter. I don't say anything really crazy on my Twitter. But at the same time, I don't want someone just to look up my name and see my Twitter and then, make judgments based on that. So no, that's not weird at all. I think that's a smart move, especially if you think you're going to be active, especially if you think that it could affect your business work. I think that's a great deal. I think that's a great idea to have that separation between the two. Like I actually have my personal account is a private account, and that's where my name is, but it's all private. So that way you can't search my tweets. Only my friends can, but I'm not active on that one. I'm literally only active on my Always Blue Blog Twitter because, I've been having fun with it, and it's been so much fun. Again, that's how I met Stephanie, who's one of my Valkyrie, and that's how I've met so many other awesome people. So I like Twitter for that reason. Oh, Mr. Peabody, I have it written down, dude. I have it written down, so I'm gonna get to it when I can. Mr. Peabody says about Beastmaster again. We'll tell you it is cheesy, but it shows Force powers interesting. Okay, awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be checking it out. I'm definitely checking out Beastmaster. It's on my list, but it might take me a while. Navy says, hello there, people. Hello, Navy. Welcome back to the chat. Let's see. Navy, Brad Noble says, Brando was right, Rose. Navy says, be here for a short while, work tomorrow. Hey, that's fine, Navy. You can stay as long as you can. That's fine with me, man. Always good to have you in the chat. Mex says, what's your opinion on the movie Abyss? I've never seen it. I don't really know anything about it either. So give me a description of it, Mex, and let me know if I should add that to my list. So I have not seen the movie Abyss. Richie Rich, what's up, Richie Rich? Welcome to the chat. I love that name. Let's see. He's saying, I'm hoping the D&D trilogy is Old Republic, that they would do it right. Yeah, they're not doing a trilogy. They're doing they're doing a TV series. And I think that if their TV series was Old Republic, I think it would be done right. And that's, though, if they're given like a PG-13 rating. I don't think that it needs to be rated R, because I don't think Star Wars really needs that. It's never really been that, but I think a PG-13 for violence and for action, that could be really cool. I definitely think they could do great work. If anyone doesn't know what they're talking about, he's talking about the producers of Game of Thrones, how they are being given a series for Star Wars. I think they would do a great job with that personally. And also it gives them then source material to build off of, because we know if they don't have good source material to adapt, they don't produce nearly as great of work personally, from my own opinion, a lot of other people's opinion as well. Let's see. Brad Noble says, cool, Navy, let the hate flow. Let's see. Druv Sampot, welcome, Druv Sampot. He says the Oscars recently brought on many of new members in an effort to bring diversity. With many of the actors being SJWs, do you think this could have a negative impact on the integrity of the Academy? Well, I think the integrity of the Academy has already been soured. I feel that with the movies getting nominated, with the movies that are not being nominated, that are being just thrown to the side, I already think it's been tainted. I really do. So as far as the new members are concerned, I do think it's going to get worse. So I think that we're going to see these very small independent films continue to get nominated. And again, there's nothing wrong with small independent films, but the ones that they're nominating are obviously ones that, fit their SJW mindset and their ideology. And that's something that I think will end up hurting the Academy, because then really awesome movies that people like to go see that make money are then going to have less opportunities to get nominated. So I do think it could be bad, because a lot of people are saying, oh, it means that they're getting younger people in. So that means we'll get more, action films and more sci-fi films and films that normally wouldn't get recognized. And all I think to myself is no, because if a lot of the members, even if they're young, are coming with an SJW mindset, then that is going to be their prerogative. That is what they're going to try and bring in to the Academy itself. So you're right, Senpai. I really do think that's going to happen, and I really do think that it will have a negative impact on the integrity. But again, I already think the integrity of the Academy has already been scorned and has been twisted, especially over the last 10 years. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse over the last 10 years, and I don't think it's going to help. I can tell you that much. I don't think that's going to help at all. So you're right about that. Let's see. Brad Noble says, Ethan Van what? Well, I appreciate that. Ethan Van Skyredew. He's awesome. See, Navy says, Brad Noble, it is unavoidable. It is your destiny. Brad Noble says, lightsaber time. Jeffrey Toon says, late, but I made it. Jeffrey Toon, that's okay, man. As long as you're here, and you're always here, and you're awesome. You're fantastic. Jeffrey Toon is another amazing regular to the show. 70 says, EVS is cool and all, but they get crunk over there. They do, and the chats get insane. Because I know that I've tried to join some of the chats, and it's like, unless you give a super chat, you're not going to get a word in edgewise, because the chat is just insane over there. And that's why I do go live on Tuesdays, because I know the High Council is going on, but I also know a lot of people just don't want to really join the chats because they're just so crazy. There's just so many people in there. And so I offer that alternative for, people who want to have their voice heard, who want to be able to get in on, get their word, their thoughts out and have it read and have, good conversation with a very, small group, which is what we have here. And that's why it's awesome. We have 30 people in here right now. That's pretty much the highest that we ever get. I think the highest we got was like 40 at one point, but that's fine because that works with what we do here. Again, especially with the fact that I read all the comments and we have these conversations like this, I think that it works. And so, yeah, absolutely. I definitely understand where you're coming from, Stephanie. Big Sleepy Ox. What's up, Big Sleepy Ox? Welcome to the chat. Gives a smiley face. Will Last Name Guy says the Thrawn trilogy, unfortunately, would not have worked post prequels. A lot of the EU became non-canon as soon as the prequels landed. Yeah, but also I'm sure there are narrative devices that they could use to make Thrawn work or to make elements of the stories work. Because I mean, any story can be made to work. Any story can work in the long run if you write it correctly. So they can still bring the characters in. They just might have to They just might have to change the backstory. And again, if you have a good writer and a good director, then they can do it successfully. They couldn't do that now. If they touch Thrawn now, people would be very pissed off. I know that for a fact. People would be so pissed off. Brian Noble says, Steph have met me. Trevor Toon says, hello, everybody. Hello. Navy says, does that mean that Solo made less than Attack of the Clones? Yes. Yes. It is now the lowest grossing film because keep this in mind that the only film at this point that it has technically passed, according to the article today, is actually, and that's only domestically. Domestically, it has technically passed Empire Strikes Back. But keep in mind that was back in 1980 when money was very different. That's before taking into account inflation. So back in 1980, if we actually adjust that for inflation, that turns into like over $650 million that it made domestically, which is a really good number for Empire Strikes Back. Compare that to like the 200 million that Solo has made, and that's chump change. So yeah, so even Attack of the Clones, because you would also have to adjust those numbers for inflation, also made more. So yeah, Solo is going to officially be the lowest grossing film, Star Wars film of all time. And it's rightly so, because the movie was mediocre at best. You know, some people might try and argue saying that it was okay. I mean, yeah, it may have been okay. It was a C-level film, but I think that it also speaks a heck of a lot more to the Phantom Menace movement for sure. Brad Neville says, let's get crunk. You can get crunk, sir. I will not get crunk. I will get crunk on water. Egg says, help Disney, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are their only hope. It's really true. Like, to me, if they want to get back into the good graces, here's the game plan that they need to go going forward. They need to first fire Kathleen Kennedy, have her, go publicly or silently, but they need to make clear that she is gone. She is not running the reins, and she's not running the show anymore. They need to then hire an executive who is well-versed in Star Wars, who also is a well-versed executive as well, someone who you could trust a trilogy, not just a trilogy, but a universe with, someone who could be that forward-thinking executive that they so desperately need right now. And then that person from there, continuing the game plan, hires a good director, good writer, and then fixes episode 9, because that's why I don't think episode 9 is going to be fixed in time. I really don't. I think that at this point, they're so far along. They were already so far along in pre-production by the time Solo bombs. I think that in the end, episode 9 is going to be relatively the same to what it used to be. There might be some minor changes with what they might do, but I do think episode 9 is going to be relatively unscathed. But with that being said, then that gives them the opportunity to start fresh after episode 9. And I think it would be great to start fresh with an Obi-Wan Kenobi film. I think that would be awesome. But you need to have the right writer, director, and of course, you need a new executive at the top for sure. Brandel says Jeff is in. Damn right he says. He says, indeed, I am in. Big Sleepy Ox says, will just decanonize the prequels and canonize Thrawn, problem solved. Yeah, I don't think they're going to do that. I think that there's still enough love from some people for the prequels. I'm not one of those persons, but I think there's still enough there where they wouldn't do that, especially if they want to bring in an Obi-Wan, if they want to bring in Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. I think it would be a better idea just to rewrite whatever elements need to be rewritten to make Thrawn work. I think that would be the better place to go, because Thrawn sounds like an amazing character. Navy says, I don't like Jar Jar Abrams can save the sequel trilogy at this point. To quote Ra's al Ghul, it must be destroyed. I don't think he can. I don't think JJ can fix it at this point, especially since he probably hasn't changed course from his pre-production meetings and from the script and all those things. I think if there's going to be any changes, it's going to be minor changes so that it won't be as hated as it may have been in the past. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I really don't. I think there's too far along at this point. So I think episode 9 is not going to make $1 billion. And then they're going to have to come up with something better. And again, that starts with firing Kathleen Kennedy for sure. Divertune says, Solo is the only Star Wars movie to lose money. I think, yep, it is the only Star Wars film that's going to lose money, and it's going to be the lowest grossing Star Wars film. So that makes sense. Mr. Peabody says, Black Panther, ew. I agree with you. Again, I'm not a huge fan of it. Randall says, it is, sir. Garbo says, I'm about to dip because I'm hungry as F right now. Here are my suggestions to save it. Put episode 9 on hold for a while. So the Thrawn trilogy, get rid of RJ. Hell, bar him from Star Wars if you want to. Let's see. Do you continue? All right. It took a while, so I can't find the continuation of that. But yeah, I agree with you. So again, Rian Johnson should be done. That trilogy should be dead in the water. I think it's too late for them to stop episode 9 at this point. I really do. And I just don't think that they're going to do that. But what they could do is just finish episode 9, finish this trilogy, put it behind them, and then start fresh with an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie, and then have that be kind of like this is where we're going now. We're now listening to the fans. We're now doing things like they're supposed to be done, and then they can just build forward from there. So start with Obi-Wan, and then they can build from there, make a new trilogy, and I think that would be a better direction going forward. Personally, that's just for me though. The Ursu says, I'd like to see a movie about the Infinite Empire. I don't know anything about that, but sounds interesting. Brad Noble says up to 30 Odin watching. Yeah, we've been floating around 30, so that's awesome. That's definitely high for us, but hey, I always appreciate it. Mr. Peabody says Yoda backstory. They have 900 years to choose from. I know, right? They could do so many stories with Yoda, and it would do much better than Solo. I can tell you that much, especially if they did it right and had a good director and writer. Navy says Yoda was trained by Rey through her time travel ability. Oh my goodness. If they, there's been talk about time travel, about retconning, retconning the events of episode 8 to just save face. If they give that power to Rey at all, or if they make her involved in that, I think that's also when people just leave the theater and say, nope, I'm done. Wash my hands of it. I'm done. That's funny, though. Navy says, man, I'm getting tired. Well, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry that I'm boring you, Navy. Devertune says, did anybody mention the outbound flight in the prequels? Did they? What are you talking about that? What you talking about? Big Sleepy Ox says, Yoda was born with a quintillion midichlorians, so he didn't need training. Hey, I would believe that over Rey, that's for sure, because just look at Yoda. I'm sorry, if you don't look at Yoda and say, yeah, this guy can play, I mean, I don't know what else can, but I agree with you there. Last name guy says, in all honesty, most of the EU wouldn't even work with other parts of the EU. Too many different authors interpreting things in their own way. Dark Forces doesn't work with the Thrawn trilogy either. But as I said, you could rewrite it. You could make things work. I mean, but you would need someone who's a good writer. That's what you need. You need someone who could actually bridge the gaps, to fix the problems, and that, to me, would be enough to be able to bring those characters in. Because again, I think the characters are what people want to see. And as long as they don't get changed too much, but just changed enough to work with the narrative of the current canon, I think that would be good, personally. Trevor Toon says, Yoda and Yaddle are a mystery. Brad Noble says, time to sacrifice a goat to Steph. Please don't sacrifice a goat. Goats are cute, man. Garba says, give him a damn trilogy. He needs to be fired because don't give him a damn. Oh, so this is continuing on from what he said. So he says, don't give him the damn trilogy. He needs to be fired because he escalated this mess. Lucasfilm needs to make a public apology and announce a Kenobi film and then go back to 9 after. Again, I think that would be the smart move, but I just don't think they're going to do that. I think they're so bent on getting 9 done and just getting this franchise, like getting this trilogy behind them, so that way they can move forward. I really think that's what they're going to end up doing. But yeah, I mean, Lucasfilm definitely needs to take care of Rian Johnson. I think he's done. I really do. He's done with Star Wars. There's no way. They would be stupid to give him a movie because it won't make any money. It won't. He's attacked too many fans and pissed off too many fans for that to work. Big Sleepy Ox says, just canonize Thrawn and throw away the rest of the EU. I know a lot of people that feel that way because they love Thrawn that much. Navy says, have you heard that Todd McFarlane wants another go at Spawn? Well, I know they are remaking Spawn. I think that's been confirmed. They are remaking Spawn. So that is a movie I think that, so we talked about reboots in a previous live stream. That is one I think that could work as a reboot because the original Spawn, because they ran out of money towards the end, and also now that effects are so much better, I think that they could make a better Spawn film today, personally. So I know that they've greenlit that going forward. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the film. Navy says, one film I do think Zack Snyder would actually be good at. If you mean, says Navy. Okay, Navy's talking about Zack Snyder. I think Zack Snyder should just retire, personally. I'm not a big fan of his style. I think that he's just done the same thing for so long, and now it's just caught up with him, and now people just don't want to see it. I think he should just retire. Maybe make some independent films. Maybe try and find his voice again. Maybe try to find a new direction. But I would not go see it if Zack Snyder directed it because I know what he would give us, and I just wouldn't want to see that, personally. Let's see. Jason Clark says, I think they should try Spawn remake. It would work, I think, with today's technology. Yep, I agree with you there. And great directors and writers are that are out there. Absolutely. I think that Spawn would work as a reboot. Again, there are certain films that wouldn't. Again, why they're trying to reboot films like Casablanca and all these classic films we talked about before that they're trying to reboot, I have no idea. I mean, West Side Story being another one that we talked about the other day. Why they're rebooting them, I don't know. Spawn, on the other hand, was not the strongest film, and it comes from a really, rich source material, so you could do a lot with it. That is definitely one that I think a lot of people would like to see. Brad Noble says Rebels was way better than the new movies. I heard a lot of great things about Rebels. I hear it's not as, I think Clone Wars is the better of the animated series, but I'm only like 10 episodes still into Clone Wars. I am now 4 episodes into Cowboy Bebop, though, and I'm loving it. Cowboy Bebop is fantastic. I love it. The music's great. The animation alone is gorgeous. The animation for Cowboy Bebop is fantastic. And also, I like how all the episodes are like just, 20, 22 minutes, and they're self-contained stories that all work, and they're great. I love the characters too. They're fantastic. I don't know any of their names because they don't say their names very often, but I like what I'm seeing on that. So thanks for all the people that, suggested Cowboy Bebop. I'm liking it a lot, and it means I'm very likely to dive into more anime once I'm finished with that. So thank y'all for that. But yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about Rebels. Trevor Toon says, yeah, I didn't like the fact that the prequels did counter some of the EU stuff. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's going to happen because you just have such a rich, I haven't even read all the material, but I just know there's so much material in the EU that it's almost impossible for something not to be contradicted at some point. So it'll be interesting to see where they go with that. Garbage says, and lastly, do a Knights of the Republic trilogy exploring the mythos of the first generation of Sith and Jedis from the novels and comics. Just please stop with the whole SJW. We love, we must love Ray Garbage. Yep, I totally agree with you there. I think that they'll start doing that hopefully after 9 and after they get rid, after they clean house a little bit, and hopefully we'll see that because I just. I don't like it. Navy says Kathleen Kennedy is a producer, not a creator. I agree with you to an extent because I don't think she's a very good producer either. Because when you look at it, again, because she's not just a producer, she's also the head of Lucasfilm. She's the one that's greenlighting projects, and she's the one who's essentially in charge of planning everything going forward. And she's not shown herself to be a very good executive or a producer at this point because she's not been choosing good projects. So I don't think she's a good producer or a creator. Brad Noble says, my God, Vader hunting Force users was awesome. Anything with Vader, I think, would be awesome. 70B puts the alien symbol in. Is Alien in the chat? Alien, like, if anyone doesn't know, Alien is one of the people who usually watches his live streams, but he always just chills in the background, doesn't say anything, and then randomly he'll say hi, and then randomly at the very end he'll say bye, and it's great. We love him so much. Navy says the Solo film was actually a George Lucas idea way before he sold Lucasfilm. Yeah, I mean, I don't think people ever really wanted to see it either. Brad Noble says he was the Emperor's dog. Let's see. Navy says the original Spawn was way ahead of its time. Yeah, but I feel like the effects towards the end just did not work out. So I think they could do a lot more with it. Jeffrey Toon says a good film would be one of the situations from the Old Republic where the Jedi and Sith have to work together against a much more dangerous. So and again, that sounds interesting. I mean, every time I hear any explanation about the extended universe, I want to find out more because it just comes across as being so interesting. And I really hope that I can find the time to actually dive into all of those books because I already have a giant list and I totally plan on diving into those stories. But yeah, I mean, I think the extended universe has so much great material in it. And it's sad that they're just saying, oh, it's all non-canon now. We're just not going to touch it. I think that there's so much that they could do with it. And I really wish that they did. And I agree with you. That just sounds interesting. Again, even though I don't know a whole lot about the EU, just from your explanation about the Old Republic and Jedi and Sith working together, that's fascinating. I think people would want to go see that. And again, get a good writer and director. It's going to make money. It's going to make money. Brian Noble says, I dare watch Ezra and Vader meeting and not getting chills. Let's see. Mr. Peabody says, characters are important, but what blew people away with Star Wars was the spaceships, the gadgets, just like Bond, and the ships become characters. How many quirks does the Falcon have? I agree with that too. I think that characters are definitely important. And when even like droids can become, such strong characters that people have an attachment to, if the fact that the Falcon itself becomes something that people, I mean, there's a reason why. In fact, Steph just bought one the other day. I'm sure she maybe mentioned in the chat, but she bought a Millennium Falcon for like $1. I mean, that's just insane. One, it tells you about how great merchandising is going for Star Wars right now, but also like people will buy the Millennium Falcon. They don't need to get a Han or Chewie, though I'm sure people would like to buy those as well. But the fact that the ship alone can sell because it's a Millennium Falcon and it has its own character, and that character has now kind of been destroyed by the fact that in Solo, now it's been infested with some SJW droid, and it's like really sad because one of the coolest ships that you've made that essentially became a character in and of itself has now kind of been ruined in a lot of ways because of that. Navy says Spawn has to be R-rated, though. I would agree. I mean, I think they probably could make a cool PG-13 Spawn, but I think that to make the story work best, it would definitely, I think rated R works. Drevstan Bot says, I saw Blockers. I didn't like it too much, but I think that's just because I didn't go to my prom and the movie made me feel depressed. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm very sorry to hear that. I know I had some issues too with dances when I was in 8th grade. I went on a blind date and it did not go well for me at all. So I definitely know how that feels. But yeah, I didn't see Blockers either. I just didn't have the motivation to see it. I mean, John Cena is fine, but he's not someone that I want to go see in a comedy film. So that's one that I think I'm going to try and see one day. But I don't plan on buying it. I could say just that much. Brad Noble says Vader force pushes that chicken walker of him sweet stuff. What? Brad, half of the time I have no idea what you're talking about because you forget that I read the chat. I read all the chats. And so you say things in reference to things that I say, but because you don't give me a point of reference, I have no idea what you're talking about. Jeffrey Dean says, I can see Jamie Foxx as Spawn. He might be able to make it work, but I'm personally not a huge Jamie Foxx fan. The last good movie I saw him in that he was tolerable was Baby Driver. And even that one, for me, he only worked because he was a despicable character. I think that he works in those kind of characters, and I don't think Spawn is supposed to be necessarily a despicable character. Jeffrey Toon says, wasn't there a Hutt Jedi Master in the comics? I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I feel like there's so many stories that sounds like it could be in there. N7 Myth, what's up? N7 Myth, welcome back to the chat. Hello there. Hello, how are you doing? Stephanie says your Twitter is clean as a whistle. Phil, thank you very much for confirming that. But yeah, I mean, it is. I don't even on my live streams, I don't curse. Like the worst things I'll say on here are ass. Like that's like the worst thing that I'll pretty much say on here. I avoid cursing just because, not only because of the nature of my own job, but also because I think that we can use better language to get our points across. And I'm not attacking anyone that uses that in their videos, because I've watched a lot of those people that use language in their videos, and I don't have a problem with it. I still watch their stuff. I just feel like there's a better way for us to come forward and to talk about these things. And that's the reason why I personally do that. Brad Noble says Jamie Foxx as a Gunder. Super says message was cut short because character limit. Yeah, I figured as much. I'll definitely see how it goes too, but Disney and Fox have left the market so oversaturated that they aren't exciting to me anymore. I feel like you're not alone there. I think a lot of people feel the way you do. I mean, because there's definitely more credibility to Marvel fatigue and MCU fatigue than Star Wars fatigue. There aren't enough movies in Star Wars to say that there's fatigue. Like that is just an entire narrative that was made up to try and justify why Solo lost money. And immediately when people just didn't buy it, they moved on to something else. They moved to the next best theory, and they're still not buying it. And so hopefully they finally get the message and change it. But at least with the MCU, there is definitely an argument to be made, especially with the X-Men movie, because they made a lot of X-Men movies over the past 10 years. Like since 2000, they've made so many X-Men films. So you could definitely make an argument oversaturation and about crowding and about fatigue when it comes to MCU. But I think that there are enough casual fans and fans of the MCU itself that I know, for me being one of them, that would still like to see it again, as long as they make movies that are entertaining, at least to me. I'm going to keep watching them personally. But Super, I totally understand where you're coming from, though, because I do know people who are just tired of the MCU, who want to see something different, who want to break. And, that might be something that'd be interesting, because I don't think the other thing with MCU is that it's the first time that we've ever had anything like that. We've never had an entire universe brought into the world of film. We've never had 20 films all a part of the same universe before. I mean, we've never had that to that grand scale with all these different characters and all their backstories. So there's so many things that they could do. And so I think that it would be interesting if the MCU, I think what would be really cool personally is if Kevin Feige decided to put like a break year in and just say, we're going to take a break for a year, 2 years tops, to like reinvent ourselves, to reestablish stories. I don't think that's going to happen. I just think it would be cool because, again, they're the first ones doing this. They're the first people in the history of film to ever do something to this effect, something this large. And I think it would be really interesting to see if, because what they do going forward is going to affect what future franchises are going to do as well. I mean, because DC's tried, to go their own way and it hasn't worked. So Marvel's doing something right. So I think that they want to make choices that are going to continue to succeed, but also they're going to want to make choices that are going to keep people happy as well. Because when people are happy, they buy tickets, they buy the Blu-ray, they buy merchandise, they buy all these other things. And so they want people to be happy. But I understand where you're coming from. Jeffrey Toon says, I can't imagine Beldorian was very athletic. Okay, I don't understand that reference. Brad Noble says Idris Elba as Leia. I would watch that. I would watch that. Idris Elba as Leia. I would watch that. In fact, if they're going to recast Leia, let it be Idris Elba, because Idris Elba can do no wrong, and I would love to see that. Brad Noble, you're right on that. Yeah, Brad, I appreciate you. Jason Clark says, I believe too that there was an Ewok Jedi Master as well. Really? That just sounds adorable to me. Like if I had gotten into a fight with an Ewok Jedi, I would just be like, you're just so cute. I can't fight you. And that's why they'd be so good, because everyone would be like, they're just too cute. I can't fight them. And then the Ewok just goes, ding, 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 and then just, force lightnings them to death. Trevor Toon says, probably. Rat Boy, what's up, Rat Boy? Welcome back to chat. Glad that you can make it tonight. Abyss is a classic first-gen CGI Deep Ocean FX. You put that on the list. All right, well, because you said it, Rat Boy, and you've been around like from the beginning, I'm going to do that. So Abyss, you have just made the list. So for anyone that's new, I have this whole list of Post-it notes all over the place, and I take recommendations. As long as it's a movie or TV series, I will write it down. As long as I get like a second recommendation for it, or the plot sounds interesting, I'll write it down. I'm not taking any anime recommendations because I want to get through Cowboy Bebop. I want to be able to focus on Cowboy Bebop just to make sure that I like it before I take any other anime recommendations. But Abyss, you have made the list. So thank you very much for that, Mex and Rat Boy. And then Mex says The Abyss is a 1989 American sci-fi fiction film written and directed by Canadian director James Cameron. All right, well, I do like some of James Cameron's work. I don't like his modern stuff, like Avatar, which is garbage, but that sounds interesting. So it's on the list. Brad Noble says, Wanda, yes. Mech says, when an American submarine sinks in the Caribbean, the U.S. search and recovery team works with an oil platform crew racing against Russian vessels to recover the boat. The boat deep in the ocean, they encounter something unexpected. Okay, well, that sounds really cool. All right, so yeah, I'm glad I have that on the list. I'm definitely gonna check that out. Brandon says, throw on Idris Elba. Think of it. Hey, Idris Elba as any character to me is awesome. I love Idris Elba. I love the work he's done. I love him as Heimdall in Thor. I think that he would be great. And yeah, I mean, from what I've been told about Thrawn, that sounds like something I would get into. Navy says, isn't it pathetic that the Academy still to this day do not award stuntmen and stuntwomen? They do. So here's the thing. They do. They just don't televise it. So there's like tons of Oscars that they have for like stunt crew teams. So maybe you're talking about like individuals, but I know that they definitely do award stunt teams for films, but unfortunately all of that takes place off air. So they only have the 24 major categories. And that's why I was saying this in a previous live stream. I think it would be cool if they took original song out, because I just don't understand that, because if you write a song and it just plays in the credits, I don't see what that has to do with the actual film itself. There are some songs that are written for the movie. I think those are the ones that should be nominated, but I think song should go to the untelevised portion. Now, of course, I know there's probably so many explanations as to why they wouldn't do that for ratings and all these other things, but I personally would much rather see stunt team nomination there or something to that effect than best song personally. But yeah, I definitely think that it's really sad that there are so many awards that are given out that they just don't even recognize on the show itself. And you have to like dig through you have to actually go on the website and like find the article that talks about all the other Oscars that were won for all the other various categories that they have. Let's see. Brad Noble says, done. Brad Noble gives a B+ to Steph. Brad Noble's grading everybody again. Navy says stunts are just important as the visual effects. I mean, yeah, especially in action films, stunt workers do much more than the actual people on screen, unless they do their own stunts. Like Tom Cruise is like the one person I can think of who does a lot of his own stunts, where he'd be worthy. I think it'd be funny if Tom Cruise got nominated for like a stunt award because he does his own stunts. I think that'd be really cool personally. Jeffrey Jean says, well, that's a shame. Navy says, Jason Clark, right, they're treated like trash. Bradwell says, rip EVS chat, we just started. I know, right? But hey, we're doing fine right now. Jason Clark says, oh yeah, it's tough job being in stunts. I almost went into stunt work, so that's something that I always had a passion about. I always wanted to be a stuntman, but then I found out like all of like the fact that the jobs aren't guaranteed, and I was like, well, if I'm going to put my body and life on the line, if I'm going to, risk my, future life in a lot of ways, I don't want to just do job to job and might not get work for a while. So that's kind of what kept me away from going to that. But I still love stunts. Like if I can ever do a stunt, I love it. It's so much fun. In fact, when I was in Beauty and the Beast, which I've talked about before, like I do musical theater, and I was the Beast in Beauty and the Beast a few years ago. And for that, I actually, at one point in the show, Gaston beats up the Beast. And so at one point I was on the stairs, and what I did was I literally flung myself off onto the main stage. So I fell downstairs essentially, and it was so much fun. I loved it. And everyone in the audience was like, oh my God, I'm like, is he okay? And I was like, yes, this is what I want. This is the effect I wanted to have on the audience. I want them to think that I'm hurt. So that way they, buy into it. I love doing that. It's so much fun. Jeffrey Toon says, the problem with Lucasfilm is they hire hack directors and poor writers. They don't have the imagination. Exactly. Again, but I think the problem with Lucasfilm is at every level, they don't have it. They don't have an executive who's forward thinking. They don't have good directors. They don't have good writers. And also the person at the top, Kathleen Kennedy, who's supposed to have the forward thinking vision, is not choosing good directors and writers. So again, it all starts at the top for me, because if you have someone at the top who knows what they're doing, then it seems to be reasonable that everything going underneath that person would be more sensible. So I think if they fix that, then it'll end up going in a much better direction overall. Let's see. Navy says, so the title Solo kind of fits. It's a one-off. Yes, Navy, you're right about that. It is a one-off, and it is called Solo. Brad Noble says, random is kind of hot. And then random says, who, me? Brad Noble, yes, you. And then random says, thank you. I can't stop hot, says Brad Noble. Well, I didn't realize that random was a piece of food. So let's try and class up that language in here, Brad. You can say that she is pretty and that she is beautiful, and I will accept that, and I believe that, because Random is an amazing person. Go check out her YouTube channel. She is awesome. She's an amazing person. But yeah, hot. We leave that description to food or weather, Brad. So Brad, you're just showing your troll them already. Brad Noble says, "What am I, Iceman?" Darth Scipio says, do you think JJ will CGI Carrie Fisher in episode 9 and shoehorn Lando, Luke, Anakin, Darth Maul, Yoda, and the kitchen sink? It's possible with the second part of that. I do think they're going to throw everything and the kitchen sink at episode 9 to make money, to make any profit on the film. They have to. Like, they have to pretty much say Luke Skywalker's coming back in some way. They have to tease those things in order to, raise interest for this film, especially if they don't get rid of Kathleen Kennedy, especially if they don't do the things like I just laid out earlier in the stream. So I definitely do think they are going to throw those things in there to try and make it a huge box office success. However, I don't think they're going to CGI Carrie Fisher, because I think that would be disrespectful to the actor. And especially since she's, recently passed away. It'd be one thing, because obviously they did that with, in Rogue One, they CGI'd an entire character, but, that actor had passed away, years before. And so I don't think they're going in that direction. There's so much controversy around that in particular, to the point where someone mentioned in the chat that some people are like getting their contracts to say, you cannot use my likeness as a CGI character if I pass away. Like, that's how controversial this has become. So I just don't see them doing that, because I think it'd be disrespectful. I think that they will probably make some offhand comment about, maybe it might be in the opening crawl that they'll say Leia Organa is dead, or Leia Organa's attack was, its ship was attacked, or they would do, I would say if they're going to have her image on screen, the worst thing that they would do, or rather the only thing that they would do, is they would use old footage of her from episode 8 or 7, probably episode 8, and then just have her, how like there's that how her ship was being attacked and she had that look and we all thought, oh, she's going to die. And that's right before we had the Mary Poppins moment. Well, they could use that same look, or they can use another take of that just so that it's a little bit different, and then have that be the moment that the ship gets destroyed, and you can have it like back in the distance kind of thing. That's how I think they would do it. I don't think they're going to CGI her, though. I wouldn't like that. I would not like that at all. Oh my God, guys, I'm almost like 30 minutes behind. This is insane, guys. Y'all have been rocking this chat. Oh my God, that's the furthest I've been behind yet. Y'all are rocking it tonight. N7 says, what about the rumors that Daldry has left the Kenobi project? I think the only reason they didn't officially announce the movie is so that they could fire directors without immediate backlash. That's possible. Yeah, I mean, I definitely think the Kenobi project is not nearly as far along as we would like it to be, but I definitely think that you're right about that they would not want backlash. Jeffrey Toon says, Treek is one of my favorite companions in the Old Republic game. She's a psychotic Ewok. So an Ewok named Treek walks into a bar and has a psychotic breakdown. That sounds like a fun story that I would want to see. Brad Neville says, CGI Leia, Ewoks, and Mara Jade, bet on it. No. Ewoks, Mara Jade, maybe. CGI Leia, I just don't see that happening. Brad Noble says Iron Man might show up. Now that would be a way to sell tickets to a movie. Is just like the end of the teaser trailer is just Tony Stark. Oh my goodness. Jeffrey Toon, Matt Damon. The Airsu says they made the Star Forge from the Knights of the Old Republic game. The Ursu says they are also featured in the Dawn of the Jedi comic books. All right, sounds cool. Brandon says live long and force. Jason Clark says if they did a standard Obi-Wan Kenobi film, there would be no reason to hire a new actor. Ewan McGregor could still do the part today. He's in great shape. Exactly, he still looks great. I mean, they could make him look with with all the different visual effects, but also with practical effects, with makeup alone. They can make Ewan McGregor look as young or just only a little bit older than, the end of episode 3. So they could totally make that work with Ewan McGregor. And again, he's actually interested in it. It'd be one thing if he wasn't interested in doing this again, but he's shown interest in it. So I think it'd be really cool to have that back in there. Again, I want to see an Obi-Wan Kenobi film. It sounds like a lot of other people want to see that too. Not with these current people, but I think that we do want to see this. Again, we want to see these films. We want good Star Wars films, just not the garbage that they're putting out right now. Mr. Peabody says they should consider asking Lucas's wife. People don't know how much she influenced the original series. All right, yeah, that's absolutely. So again, they need to get somebody in there who loves the material and is a forward-thinking person. So yeah, Mr. Peabody, that might be a route that they could take. And so Myth says, who needs army? We got a Krogan. Brad Noel says, who is bored? Show yourself for judgment. Jeffertoon says, Zaid Masani for the win. Brad Noel says, set stunners to kill. I appreciate the Star Trek reference. Navy says, Mr. Peabody, she also has never made anything since then. Okay, that's interesting. Brad says, or beer. Yeah, there's Brad going again. The Ursu says, goats are good in curry. What? I've never had one. I've never tried goat before, and I don't think I want. They're just too cute for me. Jefferson says goat meat is very nice. Interesting. So we have some people who've tried goat in the chat. That's fun. Brad Noel says, "Man, I miss good curry. I've never had curry before, so I wouldn't be able to say a comment about that." As Emma says, "I don't think I want a Yoda movie. I don't think he'd work as a protagonist." I mean, it really depends. Again, if they give a good writer, good director, any of these characters, I think, could work in their own film. Well, last name guy says, we have curry chicken at my deli now. It's terrible. Don't buy it. All right. Well, whatever deli that is, because aren't you from the UK? So I definitely won't buy it at that point. Last name guy, I can't remember if you're from the UK or if you're from Australia. I'm sorry if I got either one wrong, but I'm pretty sure you're one of my guys where the time zone is just like totally off right now. And so Miss says, "Hi, I'm flooded with cookies already." 70B says, "Y'all, I found a picture of Brad Noble, and let me see what that is." It's a guy with a magnifying glass. Brad Noble says, "I want a digital dirt cake." What? And Cinnamon says, "The cake is a lie." Cinnamon says, "You get a digital." Is that like a monster face or a devil face? Yep, definitely. Brad definitely deserves that. Brad Noble says, "Bring it, Steph." No, don't talk to my Valkyrie that way. She'd kick your butt, man. Rat Boy says, "If Shyamalan can make a comeback, so can Z Snyder." Okay, yeah. Okay, yes, he can. But again, what did he have to do? What did Shyamalan have to do? He had to find his voice again. He had to find what made him tick. The problem to me, though, is that Shyamalan made really good films that still hold up to this day. Zack Snyder's good films like 300, like a lot of people love 300, doesn't really hold up in hindsight. It does not hold up as well as it did when I first saw it. So that's why for Snyder, I think it's a lot harder of a road because I think he has to reinvent himself in a lot of different ways if he wants to succeed. That's just my own personal. Maybe it says Shyamalana ding dong. Brandon says, "Can I block Steph?" No, you cannot block Steph. She's the Valkyrie. She can block you. She can put you in timeout. She can put you in Asgardian jail for 5 minutes, or it can also just block you completely. So you better watch your language, Brad. Semi says, "No alien in Casa." That's sad. Everybody says, no alien. I love alien. Alien will just pop in randomly and we'll say hi at some point, or he'll just pop in at the very end and say hi. That's what he does. Brandon says, "Why is Steph doxing me?" Because you deserve to be doxed, dude. And then Steph says, "I will rain on your parade." Damn right, Steph. Super says, "Regarding Twitter, okay, cool. I know that I'm going to have to rely on the internet a lot of my work." Oh my goodness, guys, I am so far behind. This is insane. I know that I'm going to have to rely on the internet a lot of my work, and I love you, EVS, etc. Want to interact, but I'm scared to get political reveal. I'm right wing. All right, yeah. I mean, that's the reason why. Like for me, I try and keep that stuff off. Like there are so many things that I would like to retweet that I agree with that are a little bit more, political. But I know that that's not what my Twitter is for. So I will definitely not hide myself completely from my Twitter. But I definitely am aware of that. So definitely if you get involved and you have a company Twitter handle or something that represents your image, definitely be aware of the things that you like and retweet, because obviously don't just hide who you are, because I feel like more people will like you if you act, if you're just being yourself. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people like this channel, is because I try and be as straightforward as I can. I just try and be myself, and I, only will limit myself slightly just because, again, I do have a job that requires me really to do so. But I do think that you could be on there, and as long as you're just cognizant saying, hey, maybe I shouldn't retweet that, or hey, maybe I shouldn't comment on this, or hey, maybe I shouldn't do that, then I think that you would be in good shape. Super. So yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I'm glad that you enjoy this. And EVS, I mean, I love those channels so much. They're all great. Brandon says, "I feel like the only reason they are rebooting West Side Story is because Natalie Wood played Maria, and she wasn't Hispanic playing a Puerto Rican. It's still an amazing movie, though. It really is. And I feel like you might be right on that, Greg. I really do think that they just want to get that right. But again, I don't think that's a good enough reason to remake a classic, because even with that case, people will still not argue that it's not a classic movie, that it's still not in a lot of people's top list. I mean, it's not my personal top list, but I know a lot of people really like that film. So I just don't think that's a good enough reason to remake it, though. But I think you might be right, Greta. Super says, "Especially because I'm going to be in college for a few more years, and universities are a mess right now." They are such a freaking mess. Like, you definitely do not want anything to be tied back to you, because especially, I don't know where you're from, Super, but I know that in some areas, like especially outside the United States, you can get kicked out of college for having a certain political view or for putting something out in the sphere. Like the fact, like this is something that I feel like a lot of people don't understand. It's going to be more open forum. So I'm going to talk about things that I normally don't talk about in my other streams, but people don't understand that when it comes to freedom of speech, that is almost exclusively to the United States. Now, do they have some free speech in other countries? Yes, but not nearly to the extent in the United States, because there are so many people who come from other countries who talk about saying, you have no idea, you can get arrested for saying something in public in other countries. And that to me is just insane. I feel like a lot of people in the United States think that's insane. Like, you should be able to say whatever you want, as long as you're not trying to, call violence on someone else, or, trying to hurt anybody. You essentially have the right to do what you want for the most part. And I feel like that's very exclusive to the United States. I mean, I could be wrong on that, but I just know that there aren't the same amount of free speech laws anywhere else in the world as there are in the United States. And so you're absolutely right about that. That's something you do want to be careful, because again, I don't know where you are in the world. I think you are in the United States. I'm not sure. But yeah, I definitely think that there's something to be cognizant of, because even though you might still be protected by the laws here, it could still hurt you. I mean, because there are just so many, colleges are terrible right now. Just so many of them are just being owned by this SJW nonsense, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I remember when they had like the safe space, like some colleges had these damn safe spaces and have these like tents, like they have like these like isolation tents and these like calm down tents, and it's just like ridiculous. It's basically like preschool is being brought to college, and it's just babying kids to the point where, like, you want to know why, like, now the age for, kids to like leave their parents' house is getting later? It's because we're babying them through college. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect. Like, I was with my parents for a long time, but at least I was like working, and I never, like, I would have understood if they kicked me out at any point. I would have said, yeah, you're right, I should be on my own at this point. I just had parents that were, very accepting of me, and were, willing to support me while I tried to find out what I was going to do with my life. But yeah, college is just awful right now. So definitely, I'm with you, Super. So again, anything I can do to help, any advice I can give, if you do decide to create a Twitter, tweet at me, or, email me. Also, guys, so I do have an email address now. So Super, this might be a way. If you want to email me for any advice, odinsmovieblog@gmail.com. Very simple. It's basically just my name, just odinsmovieblog, no commas or apostrophes or anything. Just odinsmovieblog@gmail.com. Go right ahead and send me an email if that's the best way that you can contact me at this point, if you don't have any social media, and let me know if I can help you in any way. So yeah, absolutely, Super. Sharon Ferguson, welcome back, Sharon Ferguson. Hi, Odin. Hope I didn't come too late. No, we're about an hour and 11 minutes in. I'm almost 30 minutes behind in the chat. So it's a pretty good night so far. And I was only planning on going till 10 anyway, but it looks like that might push me back. Mex says, I'm glad that you're enjoying Cowboy Bebop, but I want to apologize that just about everything else you may see in anime will not be able to compare. Well, that's what I've heard. I hear that Cowboy Bebop is close to the top when it comes to anime, but also too, I feel like a lot of that might have to do with the fact that the series only went 26 episodes and stopped. And other shows, probably the reason why they don't compare is because they might have good first seasons, but then they just keep going when they don't have to. So that might be a part of it. But yeah, I love it. So thank you so much for Max. I know you were one of the guys that recommended. So thank you so much for recommending it, because I am loving it so much so far. Navy says, do we get a cookie if we spot Alien? No. Alien, though, one day he's going to have like a spot on appearance, and he's probably going to get a cookie from it. That's the only thing. If you stay away, if you stay quiet, you lose the opportunity to get digital cookies. And for anyone that's new, so basically, I just recently got to 1,000 subs. I'm not monetized yet because YouTube, says, oh, you'll know within a week, or, we'll let you know within a week. So we'll see what happens with that. But I've said from the very beginning that the moment that I get monetized and I make any income and I'm able to afford getting, gifts, that's what I'm gonna start doing. So basically every live chat, once that starts happening, I'm going to start to give free digital movies. So basically the way it's going to work is that if in that stream, in whatever stream that you're in, if you get a digital cookie, which means you gave a really great comment that I appreciate, or you made me laugh and you made me laugh the right way, and I say you get a digital cookie, my Valkyrie will make a mark of that. And then at the end of the live stream, I'll just tally up all the digital cookies. I'll put it in like a random name generator. And then whoever wins out of that group of people will win a prize. And it'll likely be a digital movie. Since I know that we have people from all over the world, I wouldn't be able to ship some Blu-rays to you guys yet. But digital is very easy, because all I need then is an email address, and then I can just send it straight to your email address. So yeah, that's what digital cookies are, but we aren't there quite yet. But also another thing to help with that is I also just started a Patreon page as well. You can find the link in the description for the chat, but it's just Odin's Movie Blog on Patreon. So if you're a person that likes this channel and likes this content and you want to support me at all, I don't have any real tiers yet, except for like the $1 tier, just because I hate asking for those kinds of things. But Again, if you like, I know that there have been some people who've been waiting for super chats to come, and that doesn't come until you're monetized. But if you feel like you want to, again, I'm not going to ask for it. I'd appreciate it. I mean, I'm not going to say no to it, but I would appreciate it, and that'd be cool. So, but that also, if I get anything there, then that might also, add, that money will also, again, everything that I would get from super chats, anything will go straight back into the channel, like getting better hardware. I know that the first investment I want to make is to get a better webcam, and so that'd be like the first thing that I would invest in, but also too to be able to give prizes to you guys during my live stream. So sorry, that's just like to get out of the way. So again, Patreon, but also to yeah, that's what digital cookies are. So sorry for going off there, and now I'm even further behind. Let's see. Jeffrey Toon says Alien lurks, Brad trolls. Yep, Alien is definitely the lurker of the chat, and Brad is definitely the troll. Brad says trolls are way worse. Well, pet trolls are not as worse as real trolls, and you're our pet troll, Brad. Sharon Bergen says, did anyone ever read all those Dark Horse comics for Star Wars? I did. I'm sure someone in the chat did. Darskibia says, I think a Spawn movie would be a great if they partnered him with with other Image comic characters. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot. Again, I was never a huge comics person, so that's why I always appreciate y'all, and I always rely on y'all to give me that information, because I always love to expose myself to new content. And so that sounds interesting, though. So I think that, I think that having more characters in Spawn, especially ones related to Spawn, would be a good idea. Mr. Peabody says, how can you disagree with the prequels as objection against the EU when Lucas himself wrote and made them? It's Lucas's universe. That's a very good point. That is a very, very good point. RTE, Rose Tico Enthusiast, is in the chat. What's up, RTE? Welcome back. I think they're too cheap to pay for the rights to the authors to use the material. What other reason could they have for disregarding the novels? Because they don't know what they're doing. I think that's the first point. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do with the material that they have. I think that's the biggest thing going on right now, is that they don't know what to do, and you need an executive who knows what they're doing. Brian Ellis says something wrote 20 times on a chat is trolling. Really? Who? What? Not on this chat. At least I haven't seen that yet. Maybe they were already kicked out, and that's the reason why I don't see it. Jason Clark says, I got to check out this Cowboy Bebop. Please do. If you don't even like the animation, I do. But if for some reason you don't, you'll love the score alone. I mean, I love the intro song so much. It reminds me of one of my favorite films, Whiplash, because it's jazz, and it's awesome. It's really, really great. So even the opening score had me hooked. So let's see. N7 Miss says, I really want an Old Republic movie series like Marvel, introduce characters in their own movie and work towards the Sith War showdown. That sounds awesome. That sounds fantastic. And again, why aren't they doing that? Because they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do with that. Brad Noble says, crap, there is Rose. Yep. Sammy B says, it was at the Dollar Tree, $1. Wow. That is, oh my goodness. So that's going back to talk about how she got the Millennium Falcon for $1. She got one of the Star Wars toys for $1. That's insane. That's again, that shows you the state of Star Wars right now. RT says they've already based Rey and Kylo on the Solo twins, but they altered it enough so they aren't the same characters. That is true. Sharon Ferguson says, "Okay, speaking as a Gen Xer who as a child was hearing the post-Vietnam drum beat of there are no heroes. Star Wars was a repudiation of that, and there were elements then and now who hated that." Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I think that's something that a lot of people tend not to recognize. People tend to forget why series started, why characters were born, why universes began. And I think that's actually a really good insight into the world of Star Wars and just how much, hatred there's actually been behind the scenes. So it could be that might be one of the reasons why the people running it right now are running it the way they are, because they want to, go away from that. RT says, hello, Brad. N7 Myth says, Tico Paths unite. Damn right. Random says, I can't get on board even for $1 for Star Wars toys anymore. Even if I wasn't broke, I probably still wouldn't buy them. I think right now at this point, the only toy I would buy, and they would just be for the lulz, would be if there was a Rose Tico with action figure for $1. I would probably spend $1 on that. I think I could justify $1 for that. And also it could be like my little my little pet that I just have that I bring to every live stream, little Rose Tico. I am definitely a Rose Tico enthusiast for sure. RT says, what's bloggers? I'm sure someone answered that in the chat. David says, I mean, they did so Judge Dredd justice with Dredd 20. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Dredd 2012 was freaking awesome. Carl Urban hit that role so well. I was very sad because the film did not do as well as it really should have done. And it kind of affected whether or not they were going to do because I think the original plan was they were going to try and do either a trilogy or a series with that. And unfortunately, it just did not make enough money to do so. I really hope that it's made, and because I think that it kind of got a second life in Blu-ray sales and DVD sales. So I hope that it was enough that they revive it at some point, because I would love to see Carl Urban back as Judge Dredd. That was awesome. I loved it so much. I mean, I went in with no expectations, and when I came out of that film, I was just like, that was awesome. That was fantastic. Brad Noble says no spell good. X says my kids love The Rock in Tooth Fairy. I never saw it, but I think that'd be funny if that they. It makes sense that they would like him in that. Brad Noble. Oh my goodness, this is from so. Oh my guys, I'm 30 minutes behind. Guys, y'all are just. Oh my goodness, y'all are destroying the chat right now. I love it. Y'all, I'm 30 minutes behind, guys. Try and slow it down just a little bit so I can catch up. Brad Noble says Baby Driver was great. It really was awesome. RT says try the movie Collateral. Odin Jamie Foxx is good in that. I have heard great things about Collateral. I own it. It's on my list of things to see. So thank you for that chat, RT. Navy says Spawn is kind of an anti-hero. Okay, so I guess that could work then with what was said before. Derby Toon says, hi, I love Morden from Mass Effect. Will Last guys got to fish watching Punisher season 1 and go to bed. Thanks, love you guys. Well, thank you very much, Will Last Time Guy, for joining us. It's always great to have you. And hey, it's awesome. Punisher season 1 is fantastic. It's my second favorite Marvel show on Netflix. First is definitely Daredevil. Punisher is second. RT says 32 people watching. You're moving up in the world. I know, it's insane. We've been like pretty much steady at 30, so that's been really awesome. So for everyone that's new, hey, smash that like button, hit that subscribe if you haven't done so already. We do this almost every night. This week will be a little bit different since I'm going to be out of town for a couple days, but I am going to try and do a live stream maybe Wednesday or Thursday. Tuesday, since my flight's at night, there's just no way I'm going to be able to pull that off. But maybe I'll do one early in the day. I don't know. I know I have a lot of people in the UK, and since I'm not going to be at work that day, maybe I'll try a live stream early in the day. Maybe that's how I'll do Tuesday instead. So that way I can get one out. But Wednesday and Thursday, it's gonna be tricky because I'm gonna be in a hotel, so I don't know what the Wi-Fi situation is gonna be. I know that Cricket Wireless is not gonna have a good enough upload speed to be able to do anything. So we'll see. But yeah, we do it almost every night. So if you like what you're hearing so far, then hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and I'd greatly appreciate it. And also join the chat. I mean, again, I read every single chat. I do not leave until every single chat has been read. And so, yeah, just keep it up, guys. But try and slow it down just a little bit so that way I can catch up. Let's see. Sharon Bergenson says, I agree about the language. I'm not adverse to a well-placed curse word, but after reading Patrick O'Brien, have discovered the fun of coming up with truly descriptive insults that never use bad words. I know, it's just so much more fun to call someone like, and it's sad because an article I did a video on ruined a word for me. I love the word troglodyte, which means someone like a caveman. I use that word all the time at school because you know how kids are. So they like to say the word retarded, and I hate that word. It's one of the few words I'm not usually a thought word police. I don't really like that, but that's a word I just don't like that's being used. And so I'm like, well, what are you trying to say? Oh, I'm trying to say that he's stupid. Okay, well then use a smarter word for that, because that means something to other. That means something very different to some people. So how about instead you say troglodyte, because it's a smarter word that's better. So they ruined the SJW article, ruined that word for me, and I hated it. I was so sad because I love troglodyte. But yeah, I totally agree. I love coming up with smarter expressions and words than just going straight to F this, F that. I mean, again, I know people who do it. I like a lot of channels that do that. I'm not one of them, but yeah, I totally agree with you. It's so much more fun to come up with like a descriptive insult than anything else. Let's see. Navy says, Brad Noble says, secrets out. This chat is fun. Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Jeffrey Toon says, Dredd in the 2012 reboot is much nearer to the original. I love it. 2012 Dredd is fantastic. Brad Noble says, we get super chats now. No, you don't. I haven't been monetized yet, so I don't think that's possible. So I mean, yeah, I don't think that's possible yet. Let's see. RT says, yeah, but a lot of fans don't really want Star Wars films every year. It's not about just box office figures. I don't want a Star Wars movie every single year. They're going to burn out. They're already having problems, but that's because they don't have people who know what they're doing. Again, Marvel has put out 20 films in 10 years, and every single one of them has turned a profit. Every single one of them has made bank and justified franchises and trilogies and all these other things. They could do that with Star Wars. There's enough material out there for Star Wars. The problem is they don't have any idea what they're doing. So I understand where you're coming from, and I don't want them to burn out on Star Wars. But the problem is that they're making bad films now, and people are getting burnt out on that. And not only that, but now you have also them attacking fans. And so now you have a whole other problem on your hands. So that's my stance on that, RTE. Navy says, to me, as long as they keep building upon the MCU, it's okay. I'm the same way. Super says 20 films, plus they've announced there's 12 in production right now. It's crazy. I know, it's so crazy, Super. Like, you're absolutely right. And again, MCU is going to keep on making bank as long as they keep on making good films. And I really do think that they're going to keep doing that. Again, they haven't let me down yet. Black Panther was kind of the close to, diving into politics, but I feel like it edged that line so well that it was able to, stay away from that. So yeah, I definitely think that they're doing the right thing for right now. Navy says, after Infinity Wars, there is the Secret Wars and the Beyonder. RT says there's a definite feeling, almost a certain quotient, who don't want Star Wars burning out by doing too many films. There are people out there, but those people would still go to see a movie if it was good. If let's say if someone said, you know what, I'm not going to see this because I'm tired of Star Wars, but then everyone said, dude, you need to go see this film, it's amazing, they would say, okay, I'll go see it, most likely. So I understand where you're coming from, but also if they're making a good film, they're going to go see it. Divertune says the fractured butthole. Yes, I always want to play the South Park games because they look like fun. I've watched the gameplays of them. I haven't watched the gameplay for that one yet, but I hear it's also really good. If it's anything like Stick of Truth, then it's going to be good. The Ursu says there was a Hutt Dark Jedi in the novel Planet Twilight. That's interesting. Navy says then there is the real Civil War. RT says, yeah, but you're a loon, Brad. Yes, you are a loon, Brad. That's absolutely right. Divertune says Beldorian was the Hutt Jedi. Interesting. RT says Idris Elba with the hair buns. Brad Noble says pillow talk Pico. That's our pet troll. The Ursi says Beldorian was the Hutt Jedi in Planet of Twilight. Super says another reason for a break is that I think it'll help immortalize the Infinity War story. I agree with you there. If they just lead right into the new stuff, it could tarnish the achievements and greatness of the MCU. I agree with you. I think they're going to do it right, though. I do think they're going to do it so that it's going to be something that people like. Because they haven't done anything wrong yet so far. But I agree with you. I think a break would be a good thing. I think that it would be revolutionary for them to do that because I don't think anyone's ever really no one's ever made 20 films in 10 years and then said, we're going to take a break for a year and then regroup and then come up with better stuff. I think that'd be really cool. I mean, I love seeing these films, don't get me wrong, but I think that would be cool personally. RT says, if they do good Star Wars film every 3 years, they'll be doing well so far. They can't even do that. But again, that's because they have the wrong people running it. Again, if they had the right people running it, they could make a film every year. They could make 2 every year and it'd be fine. The problem is that they need people who actually know what they're doing. N7 Myth says, Ewok Jedi use force cuteness, charm, and slow enemy movement. Yes, N7 Myth. Navy Lag says Abyss is a great movie from James Cameron, good old days. All right, that's why it's on the list now. Brad Noble says easy, Jericho, watch Bebop. Definitely watch Bebop. Jeffrey Tune says I have Planet of Twilight. How on earth did I forget Beldorian? Never seen it, never read it. I'll write that on the list after I actually start diving into some novels. Artie says, LSF, would you like him the Princess Leia hair puns? Super says, also something I thought was interesting, but also kind of sad. When I saw Ant-Man yesterday, not one preview trailer was for an original concept. Yes, that's a very good point. So what Super's saying is that every trailer before the film was all based on prior material or a sequel of some sorts. And I agree with you. That's a big problem with Hollywood right now. And I'm sure Greta's going to jump in the chat if she hasn't done so already, because I'm still, very far behind. But I will say that that's one of the biggest problems with Hollywood right now is that they're not coming up with original stories. Like, are some original stories being told? Yes. And I'm actually... it's mostly in the independent scene, though. You're not seeing any real big budget original stories. And it's sad because there are very great, talented filmmakers out there who are, writing very good stories, but no one's seeing them. No one's talking about them. And it's really sad. So I agree with you there. It's really sad to see Hollywood is just totally on board the sequel, prequel, reboot train. And that's why Star Wars could move away from that direction. Now, some people might say, well, if they base it off the EU, then it's based on prior material. But it's never been, but it's stuff that's considered to be non-canon being brought in. So I think it's a little bit different, but also they could then take those characters and make new stories. That's what I was saying before. They could take Thrawn, save some elements of his story, but then make it something new. And I think that's something that they have so much potential to do personally. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's really sad to see what Hollywood has become now. RT says they have awards done in the pre-show. Exactly. Navy says you could have both in the Academy, just cut out the exactly. That's the reason why. So Navy says cut out the political BS. I agree with you. That's the reason why I don't watch the Oscars anymore, is because it's just become so damn political. Every speech has to have something. Even the presenters have to make political statements. And it's like, shut up. Like, we're not watching you to be preached to. We're watching you to escape, to remember the movies that we love this year. That's what the whole point of the Oscars was supposed to be. Not, oh, let me get on my soapbox and talk about my political views for for 4 hours, however long the show is now. RT says the one that the audience won't give a toss about at home because they're waiting to see what dress Jennifer Lawrence is wearing. Some people, there's definitely a large portion of people who watch it for the fashion. I'm not one of those persons. Mr. PY says, you will like The Abyss, Ed Harris. I love Ed Harris. Oh my goodness, Ed Harris in Westworld has been awesome. So yes, I'm glad I have that on the list. I can't wait to watch it. N7 Mix says, what do you guys think about Kerry Russell for episode 9? I like Kerry Russell fine. Again, it's just the same problem. Because it's episode 9 and because it's being run by the people who are running it, I don't think her character, again, especially if they make her Mara J, which I think is a direction that they might try and go in, I don't think they're going to do the character justice, and I don't think it's going to be my opinion on that. Brian Noble says, imagine Elba only white and bearded equals Odin. Not at all. I would not compare myself to Idris Elba at all. Jedi Starship says, hey, Odin. Hey, what's up, Jedi Starship? Welcome to the chat. Sharon Ferguson says, Ed Harris will always be Gene Kranz for me, Apollo 13. He was really great in Apollo 13. You're right about that. Greta says, I don't like how honorary Oscars are just kind of discarded now. I feel like they should be acknowledged in the ceremony. I agree with you. Even if it's just them running it down, like, I think that still, like, instead of spending so much time on skits and things of that nature, they could just spend 5 minutes just running through all the awards that were won earlier. And I think that would be a really good shout out to those people who've worked just as hard, if not even harder, on the work that they're not being recognized for in a very, in a very real sense. RT says, what about the delusion Russell Crowe sees in Beautiful Mind? Sharon Darskibio says, I heard that Idris Elba may be the next James Bond. I've heard that too, and I would be okay with that. I've said this before. Like, I know that some people might find that controversial because of his race, but at the same time, Idris Elba's awesome. He's British, so he fits. To me, James Bond is British. Like, that's the main thing. James Bond is a badass British gentleman. He's a British man. So I think as long as he stays that, it's going to be fine. And also, if anyone is going to do something awesome with that character, it's Idris Elba, who I love Idris Elba. So I would be totally down for that. Brad Noble says, how did I know Odin was in theater? Because I've said it before on the chat. Let's see. Sharon Burger says, oh yeah, I forgot about Ed Harris as part of his delusion. Thanks for the reminder. Oh, okay. So that's what you're talking about. So the delusion from, so, okay. Beautiful Mind. That's a movie that I still need to see. It's on my list, guys. I know it's on my list. I need to see it still. Brandon says, random is hot. No, she is not food. Cyclone. What's up, Cyclone? Yes. He says, hello, Odin. So Cyclone is the son of Lost Soldier. Lost Soldier was made a awesome comment. So if any of y'all read the comments of my videos, check out a comment by Lost Soldier on today's video. He goes on this rant, but it's awesome. It's fantastic. Go check it out. He's fantastic. Cyclone is his son. And so normally we had him in the last, I think the second to last live chat that we had. And it was awesome because we had dad and son in the same, like literally a room apart from each other, talking in the same stream. It was awesome. And so this is hot as a compliment. That's just not, I mean, I don't use it again. If Brandon doesn't have a problem with it, that's fine. Again, that's just me though. Let's see. RT says, I don't think Brad was trolling. He was questioning someone else's description of random. 70B said, okay. I wasn't sure. 70B, okay, please definitely, shout out random game user on Twitter and also Facebook. As on YouTube as well. Go check her out, guys. RT says, I can never catch random streams. Yeah, me neither, because they're so early in the day, but I try and watch them back when I can, or at least part of the streams when I can, and I try and watch her videos when I can as well. Sammy B says, if you want a shout out on Twitter, let me know. Yes, let Stephanie know and let her shout out your Twitters, guys. Random says, I'll try to do some evening streams, maybe Wednesdays. All right, sounds good. Brian Noble says, Catch One Random is awesome. She is fantastic. RD says, yeah, I'm Australian, so the times never match up. This is the best time for me personally. All right, good to know. Brad Noble says, I'm always the villain. You are always the villain. You are absolutely always the villain. RT says, or before this, maybe. Okay. Jedi Starships, yum. Cookies, yum. Mex says, I could settle for a Darth Vader or Qui-Gon Jinn style funeral scene using a practical dummy as a sit for Leia's body. Yeah, could happen. I feel like the description I gave before, though, is probably the more likely situation. Brian Noble says, just gonna man spread over here. Lit AF Bob Pompiani. What is up, man? What's up, fam? Let's go. Damn right, Pompiani. RT says, yeah, Odin is way behind. He hasn't said hello to me yet. I said hello, RT. I mean, I am 30 minutes behind, so don't get me wrong. I'm still 30 minutes behind. Y'all are insane. Let's see. Cyclone says, I know, missing the stream. I've said Odin pulling a Jeremy on regular chat. I know, right? Like, well, it makes more sense because there's a lot more of the regular chat than super chats usually. Sharon says, Rose, hello to you. Glad you're able to be here. Absolutely. Jedi Starship. We need is a director who is a true fan. Totally agree. When Abrams, Johnson, Kennedy say they are fans, they just know the movies and little else. EU forever. I agree. That's why if someone were to ask me to be the executive producer of Star Wars, I'd say no. I don't know enough about the EU. I only know the movies, and that's not enough, I feel, for this universe, especially to be forward-thinking 10, 20 years. Sci-Fi Admirer says, hey, Odin, I wish I could stay longer, but it's 3 a.m. here in London. Keep up the great work. Well, thank you so much, Sci-Fi Admirer. Thank you for joining us once again. It's always great to see you in the chat. CRT says, love the accent. Brad Noble, sci-fi, cool magnet, some sleep. It is. Cyclone says, hello. RT says, what you do? I'm curious. I'm just trying to get through these. Lucas says, FY, I guess. Brad Noble says, goat curry is awesome. Yeah, goat curry is amazing. Says N7 Myth. Meg says, you won't think goats are cute after they jump on your car and crater it like their hooves and horns. Yeah, that's true. I don't have to deal with that in Southern Louisiana. So you're right about that. I bet I wouldn't. Brad Noble says, sorry, in India. Okay. RT says, I see. Yeah, Lucas always did need rating in. David says, what about all the droid movies based on the 80s cartoon series? Could be. Georgine says, I like the droids cartoon. All right. So it could be something there. Cyclone says, out of all the Jedi in Star Wars, which is your favorite? Mine is Obi-Wan Kenobi. So someone asked about my favorite villain the other day. So my favorite Jedi, out of the movies, because that's pretty much my knowledge, my limited knowledge, I would probably say, oh man, because part of me is going to base it off of actors too. So, it's a hard question. It's a really good question, though. I guess I'm torn between Empire Strikes Back, Luke Skywalker, and Revenge of the Sith, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Those are the two that I'm stuck between for my favorite Jedi. And yes, I'm going to be specific with the movies. Brad Noble says, so many rules. Not really. Mr. Peabody says, distinguish between UK or Aussie. Just say, good day, Kaba. Good day, Kaba. Jason Clark says, 300 was great for its time, but when I watch it now, a lot of the magic's gone. Exactly. Again, so because of that, he needs to reinvent himself. Furtherist says RTE. Alien and Greta are watchers, says RTE. But Greta will come in every now and then. RT says, I've never seen 300. It's okay. Now it's okay. If you asked me like 5-10 years ago, I would have said, go see it. It's awesome. Now I wouldn't. RT says, people in the UK have said Cabra before. I thought so. RT says, and Aussies don't say Cabra anymore. Interesting. Navy says, I don't think I've ever seen a Harry Potter film fully, just not my thing. Yeah, my wife really likes Harry Potter. I like the films for the most part. I think that they're not perfect, but I do enjoy them. I own them. I own all of them, so I do enjoy them. Mr. P.I. says, I know how far behind in the chat you are. Just shows how many people want to speak to you. We know you are doing your best. Well, thank you very much, Mr. P.I. I do greatly appreciate that. No, I love the chat. So I'm not trying to say, guys, I'm not trying to say shut up, but it's just one of those things where I know that I want to make sure that everyone gets heard. So Sharon says, Rose 300 is very good. If you like Greek mythology, it's about a battle that isn't discussed in history classes anymore. Again, I know that there are some people out there who still like it. I think it's lost a little bit of its magic, but I definitely think that there's enough in there for people to like. Again, it's for some people. Jedi Starship said, the thing about hiring a director, whoever it is, we need to have the creative rep from Lucasfilm to inform on continuity, a must, no-go solo. I agree with you there. So again, that's what I think what you should have is you should have kind of like a split power. You should have someone who is the executive, someone who's going to plan, someone who's going to be in charge of casting, or rather choosing casting directors, things like that, and then have a creative director. And that's where you could have someone maybe like a Dave Filoni, someone who's, again, in charge of the creative mindset of Star Wars. And then I think both working together would do really good things together. RT says, aren't most films full of historical inaccuracies and embellishments? Yes, most are. Tina, what's up, Tina? Welcome to the chat. Tina says, Valkyrie checking in. Finally, we'll say it's better late than never, and I'm always glad to have you here, Tina. Let's see. Brad Noble says Seth Rogen as Maria. Oh my goodness. No one likes a girl like Maria. Mex says Frank Miller conveniently left out that the Spartans weren't fighting for freedom. They were fighting to maintain domination on other people they enslaved. Brad Noble says, I feel Odin wants me in speech jail. I really do. Alien is watching. Oh my goodness. Yes, Alien is in the chat. Alien just posts an eye. Alien is always watching. It's wonderful. And he says, we do have a free speech in my country, and we don't censor with bleeping. All right, cool. Just being me. Hey, Alien. RT says, which person are Sharon, left or right? Sharon says, Odin, when I was in college, if I didn't like something someone said, people would laugh in my face and tell me to get over it. Wish people would do that to the SJWs. I totally agree with you there for sure. Brad says, snowflakes. Yep, that is the term that is used for them. Sharon says, Rose, constitutionalist, whatever they might think the rest of the world is. Super says, I'm lucky to be from the United States. but I'm from a Democratic state. Oh, yeah, because I know that can be a lot harder if you're in a certain state. So I'm sorry to hear that. Jason says, 70B, thanks for posting the email. So again, if you want to email me, please just send one. RT says, no, I mean, in your picture, silly. You've got 2 people in it. Cyclone says, has anyone has Lost Soldier here yet? No, we have not. But please go check out his comments. Tina says, when you read this, it will be 9:11 Central Time, and right now it's 9:38 Central Time, so I'm still behind. Are Bebop and Rocksteady? Not anything about Rocksteady. Sharon says, hi, Odin. No worries. You're rocking it. I think my eyes would be permanently crossed now trying to keep up. Yeah, luckily, I keep it on my phone because the chat doesn't jump on my phone. So it's actually really easy. Because when I first started these live streams, I tried just to do it on my computer. And even when we had only like 10, 15 people in here, it was so hard to keep up with it because the chat would keep jumping. So this is definitely superior to that. Tina says, you guys must be really chatting up the storm tonight. They really are. And I'm loving it. It's awesome. Apologies for coming in late. No problem at all. I told 70B I'm having sleep issues. No problem at all. Again, if you or Steph, if Steph or you can never make the chat, that's fine. Again, I know that there's other things going on and it's never a problem. So never feel obligated, but I always appreciate when you do come. So thank you for that. Fernando Faria. Hello, Fernando Faria. Cowboy Bebop. Wait to see the refrigerator episode. Well, I'm already looking forward to it because every episode looks awesome. So I just finished episode 4, which is the something about the gate was the name of the episode. And it was a continuation of episode 3 when they're trying to chase down a woman who had a chip that was worth a lot of money. RD says Alien will never earn a digital cookie. He will. One day he will. Brad Noble says Steph had it handled. Cyclone, I got a cookie. You did. And Seven says, come to the dark side. We have cookies. Same to Lost Soldier says Cyclone. Damn right. Brad Noble says time to get after him. Jedi Starship, get the webcam first. Yeah, it's definitely, again, that's the first thing on my list for sure. Because I already have a microphone that I'm really happy with. So that would be the next thing for sure. Jedi Starship, I want to see your beard in 4K. I don't think I'd get a 4K camera because I don't think my computer could handle that, but it would definitely be a 1080p camera. So it would definitely be a higher quality one. There's one that I know that's on Amazon that's like $50. So that would be probably the tier that I'm going for. But I appreciate that still, Jedi Starship. Let's see. Jason Clark says Odin's way behind on the chat tonight. I'm so far behind. Y'all are rocking it. Brad Knowles says just curious what color lantern this would be. All right, so y'all are talking to y'all selves. Jay Star says Odin's going to have to read this like those super quick advertisements on the radio. I know, right? People already. I've had like 3 people comment on my videos just in the last 24 hours who say, "Dude, you talk too fast." And saying, "I'm sorry, that's just who I am. That's just how I am." Sharon Ferguson says, "Rose, well, thank you." Max says, if you're reading this, you still have not caught up with the chat and you're overdue for a pencil beard. Yes, thank you, Max. Thank you for always reminding me. We are overdue for a pencil beard. I can fit pencils in my beard. I fit 3 before, but I just don't have the time right now. Super says, college has been good, but example to show how screwed academia is. My sociology book told me women were an oppressed majority. I've also been told that English has a male bias. Oh my goodness gracious. Yep, that's what's being taught in college right now. Brad Noble says, juice box and vodka. The Earth says, I've read some of the tales of the Jedi comics. They feature Sith from before Knights of the Republic. That sounds really cool. Again, I really want to dive into that stuff. Random says, Odin is getting so popular, he'll just have to read comments he sees as they come in. Yeah, I don't want to ever get to that point because I know that at some point that's a possibility. I kind of hope that we stay small, but I'm realistic and I know that things might happen. And that's when the way that I'm going to do that, I think the way I'm going to do it going forward is that if you have a comment for me, I'm going to want you to tag my name in it. So that way I can just skip past all the comments that don't have my name in it, because when it has my name in it, I'm trying to see a comment. There's no comment close by. It shows up as red or orange for me. And then I think I'll get through the comments a lot more quickly. So we're not there yet, but in the future, if this becomes a regular problem where I fall 30 minutes behind, that will be the thing that we will do. So yeah, absolutely. But thank you, Gamer. Brado says old fashioned. Papiani says, thinking of the Old Republic, have you ever seen some of the Couture video game trailers? Those trailers alone have better storytelling than the sequel trilogy does. I have not. Sounds really good though. RT says, yeah, Odin, you won't be able to read every comment if you get to 50 people. Won't be time. Yeah, I agree with you there. Tina says, you'll be fighting Uncle Ethan for that Rose Tico figure. You know that, right? Yes, I will. I know that for a fact. But that's why, again, if there's ever a sale for a Rose Tico figure, that's the only like Star Wars, because I'm not a big, I'm not a big action figure person. I'm not a big, merchandise person unless it's a Blu-ray. So that would be the only one that I'd want to buy just for the lulz. Navy says, I would buy a Jar Jar Binks toy just to write on it at least, the better than Roast Tico. Sharon Ferguson says, what bugs the living daylights out of me is how sociology is equated with anthropology. It is not. You are right about that. Jason Clark says, I actually really liked my anthropology class in college. Jason Clark says, how my Toys R Us store closed before they closed had 31 Rose Tico action figures for clearance. And did you buy one, Jason Clark? Because if you didn't, you missed out, man. Sharon says, but that's just me throwing in my worthless 2 cents. No, I appreciate your. I know those are 2 awesome cents right there. I totally agree with you. RT says Rose Tico figures are like some sort of infestation in retail stores. Cyclone says, hey, last time I was here with Lost Soldier, it was 16. I know, yeah, it's been growing, it's been insane. And some of this will go on forever. Brandon says these mods are taking my white privilege. Let's see. Navy says we all know that Jar Jar is Rey's father. Random says you can turn on chat slow mode. I don't know how to do that. Random, please contact me either on my email, Twitter, probably Twitter, since I know that you're on Twitter. How do I do that? Please teach me how to do that. And what does that do exactly? Does that I know it might limit people, and the reason why I don't want to limit people and I might just go with the tag is because I want people to be able to still have conversations with each other, even if I'm not reading the comments, if that makes any sense. So I think I would rather just do it like this. So as you can see, Random tagged my name, and so it came up as read. So I think that's how I'm going to do it going forward, is that any comment that has that, I'm going to read, and I'm going to skip over any other ones. So that's why if you mess up or anything, don't think I'm skipping your comment. It'll be because I'm not doing that tonight, but probably starting with the next live stream I do. RT says, you won't be leaving till 4 a.m. at this rate. Maybe your time, not my time. Tina says, All Father is never going to get caught up then. I will. It's going to happen. RT says, slow mode, we get time shifted. Will my voice drop? And so for the next time, don't read out the full chats. Just react to them. Maybe summarize what you're reacting to in 2-3 words. That I would have a problem with. Like, some people might have a problem keeping up with chats. I would have a big problem doing that, as my pen is just bouncing up and down right now. I'm gonna take it out just so I can stay focused. Jason Clark says we better slow down so Odin can keep up. Absolutely. Sharon says, oh man, I love the word troglodyte too. SJW's ruining everything. I know, I love troglodyte so freaking much. It's such a great word. Cyclone says, I am too found for curse words. I keep my context clean. Awesome. I love the alien symbol, Steph. And 7 Math, you need to be monetized for super chats, I think. Yeah, exactly. You need to be monetized for that to happen, and that has not happened yet. Hopefully within the week. RT says, yeah, but people are tiring of Marvel films every year too. Yeah, but not to the extent. I mean, you say that, but then guess what? Infinity War made over $2 billion. So I think that there's still enough love out there. RT says you'd be excited for a new film. Think not. Oh, here's another one. I wouldn't. Not me. Cyclone says, does anyone remember me from 2 streams ago? I do. Let's see. RT says they're not going to have every hit every single year, though. That's not going to happen, especially if they're dishing novels. But again, they have yet to have one that's broken even or lost money. So that's my argument there. Jason says fans would see one Star Wars movie a year if it was made really. Made by Disney Kathleen Kennedy. Absolutely, they would see one movie a year, and I think they would even see one Star Wars story. Obviously, I think they should just drop that name because it's a mouthful already. I think they should drop that, but I would think they would see a independent story and a canon, or rather a episodic film every year. I think we honestly would. Brad Noble says, "I always tell the truth." Do you, Brad? RT says, if you had 2 Star Wars films every year, you would really risk burning out regardless of who would control. I don't think so. If it was good, it wouldn't be burnout. Tina says, I never thought I'd say it, but I'm sick of Star Wars, but that's not because of planning. That's because nothing is planned out in advance. You're exactly right. Not like Kevin Feige planned out the MCU or even Jackson planned Lord of the Rings trilogy. And on top of that, and you probably continue on later on. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, again, you need someone who's forward thinking. That's what we need. We need someone who's forward thinking. Cyclone says, yeah, I'm gonna go now. Oh man, I'm sorry, man. Cyclone's leaving. Oh, I'm sorry that you're leaving us, man. RT says Star Wars should be an event, not a production line. Did someone just email me? Oh, well, awesome. I have a patron, guys. Thank you. Forever pay. I can't check who it is because I'm so far behind the chat. But at the end of the chat, I'm going to shout out whoever's my patron. But I have a patron. Awesome. Well, thank you for whoever did that. That's awesome. Let's see. No. Undo. Sorry. Super. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I accidentally pressed something because I'm so far behind. I'm so sorry, Super. I'm so sorry. Super, don't leave. I unhid you. I'm sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I did that one time on another chat and I hated it. Tina says, on top of their attitude is the biggest turnoff. They pull out their hatred and then turn around and say, come see our movie, you racist. Exactly. Again, they are showing hatred towards the fans. So why would anyone who they're attacking want to go see their movies and want to support them? RT says Star Wars doesn't have 60 years of backlog comics and RT, again, I understand where you're coming from, but that's where I am on the subject. So I know I don't know if you're still going to be talking about it, but That's where I stand on it. I understand that you have a different opinion, but that's just where I stand on it. Navy says big budget equals big risk. That is what they do original stuff. I agree with you. Greta says, absolutely. It is sad that people rely on successful stories that have already been made. People are afraid to take risks on new stories nowadays. It is true. That's absolutely true. RT says in Marvel's universe. Okay, I'm not RT. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to start skipping your comments because I just don't agree with you right now on this particular subject. So I'm not trying to ignore you altogether, but I need to get through these comments. Jason Clark says Hollywood has no imagination right now. All they know is to do a remake and reboot old films. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right about that. Cyclone says, actually, I'm going to stay. Sorry, everyone. It's okay, Cyclone. Glad that you're here. Glad that you're here. Let's see. Super says, "Oh wait, there was one original. There was one original concept. Kind of. There's a trailer for that movie, The Meg. Oh, The Meg. I actually kind of want to see that. I don't know why, but it looks funny. But then again, it does look like a glorified sci-fi movie, so I don't know about that. I think that'd still be funny. The Ursa says the Oscars never give awards to movies I like. Yep, I totally agree with you there. Brad says real chat is the only chat. Jedi Starship says, am I the only one who's getting tired of watching stormtroopers dance? It was cool at first, but I'm kind of getting irritated. Tina says Harris will always be Ash Knight, John Glenn in The Right Stuff to me. Sounds good. Let's see. Jeffrey Toon says award ceremonies are just opinion. It's not exactly done scientifically. I agree with you there. But they used to really, I mean, when you look at the pantheon of films that they have awarded, so many of them are just great classic films. And so I definitely think that there used to be something to the Oscars, just not anymore. Navy says Idris Elba is a great actor, but at this point he is too old to play Bond. But again, they could make an older Bond, though. I think that would be interesting to have an older Bond, maybe someone who is trying to, reaching for retirement. I think that'd be cool. Super says if only John Hamm were English, we would have the perfect Bond. Yes. Oh my goodness, you're right. You're right about that. Egg says my phone gonna die. Good night, everybody. Well, I'm sorry about that, Egg. Sorry that I fell so far behind in the chat, but thank you for joining us. Random says I have no problem with it. RT says once Lucas sold off, it was doomed. Really? I'm not sure either. Navy. Let's see. I'm just like I say let Daniel Craig make the last 3 films in his run. Random says being called hot, she has no problem with that. All right. Again, I was just giving my opinion. Again, I always want to just be honest with you guys. That's just how I feel. I know I give one of my friends who I work with. He says he uses that, and I always give him hell for it. So I'm like half serious, but half not, because again, I honestly don't like that being used. But at the same time, I understand what they're trying to get across from that. Super says, man, you are far behind. You can do it. I really hope so. Brandon says, way behind. I just man-dreaded. Matt Mobley. Hello, Matt Mobley. Welcome to the chat. It says, best Ed Harris performance, The Rock. I still need to see The Rock. I know that's blasphemy, but I still need to see it. Brandon says, random. I'll see Super. Jeffertune says, I need to log now. See you later. Well, thank you very much, Jeffertune, for joining us for as long as you did. Brandon says, good looking girl is hot. Sorry. All right. Well, whatever makes you happy, man. And as long as she's fine with it, that's fine. You can use that in the chat. Devin 7 Myth says, ESB Luke wasn't a Jedi yet. Oh, come on. Brandon says, Tina. Jason Clark says 30 minutes, more like 30 to 45 minutes. I know. I'm slowly catching up a little bit. 7 Myth says my favorite Jedi has to be Ahsoka. Her character development in Clone Wars was so damn good. I mean, I'm already seeing the beginnings of her character beginning to develop, so I'm already liking it. So I totally understand. Navy says, pardon while I fart. Oh Lord. Mr. Payby says we do say cobbler still. It's just an older term. Brad Knowles says, I don't make the rules. Tina says, when you read this, it'll be 9:36 p.m. and currently it's 9:51. So I'm getting there. Your mission, Odin, should you choose to accept it, is to tackle SJW feminists everywhere. This disc will self-destruct in 10 seconds. Good luck. Jedi Starship, you get a digital cookie for that. That's awesome. Navy says, sorry, but I never really thought Seth Rogen was really that funny. Randall says this chat is like Michael Bay casting so far away. RT says you're gonna do a Doctor Who video when it starts back up random. Jedi Starship says my favorite Jedi is Luke, which is why I took his death so hard. I think a lot of people did for that very reason. Brad says Luke is gonna bring Wookiees. Jason Clark says this wasn't the Luke Skywalker that I know and love in episode 8. Nope, it wasn't. I mean, he was not Luke Skywalker. I think that's a lot of people were mad. Brad Noble says arms will be ripped off. Yes. Brad Noble says toxic is used on people when you run out of words. Yep, you're absolutely right about that. RT says Odin, is that highlighted? No, that's not. So basically, RT, one you did, that is highlighted. So at Odin's movie vlog, that showed up as highlights. So let me just go and show you. So the first one you did was not the light. The first one you did was not, but at Odin's movie vlog, that showed up as red. That one did. For me, it did. It doesn't show up for you, but it does for me. So basically, if you're on a computer, it'll show up. If you're not, I don't know how to do it on mobile. Jason Clark says the Jake Skywalker storyline would be awesome if they actually wrote that and brought him back for episode 9. Again, there's so many things that they could do, but I just don't think they're going to do it right. RT says, did you see mine in orange? I saw yours in orange. I think only I can see it. Only I can see it in orange. You're not going to be able to. So just make sure if you're on a computer and you put in the @ symbol, all the names will pop, or rather, if you put O, my name should pop up. And as long as you click on it, it will work. On mobile, I don't know how that works. So someone in the chat might have to help you out with that. But I'm not doing that right now. Study B, thanks for shouting out my Twitter. Jedi Starship says Luke the clone. Bitter says slacker. Oh, come on, Bitter. I'm doing the best that I can. Random says slow mode will make us not be able to send more than one message every minute or something like that. And again, but I feel like that takes away from the conversation. That's the reason why I'm not doing that. Bitter says keep them coming. I'm skipping some, but not like, again, I'm skipping like the replies they'll have with each other. Jedi Starship says Jake Skywalker is what Mark Hamill said he felt his character was when taking direction from Ryan Hux Johnson. Sharon says, sorry for my silence, but I'm looking for the Patrick O'Brien insult that I mentioned earlier. I may just private message you on Twitter with it. Hey, sounds good to me. I'll watch it. Any videos that you send me, I will always watch them when I can. And Seven says Odin's chat is so hot right now. I know, it's so crazy right now. It's insane. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I was unhidden. All right, good. So Super, you are officially unhidden now. So sorry about that. So I am catching up a little bit, guys. Oh man, I'm getting through these right now. So yeah, thanks for slowing down a little bit. Burning Suns N7 is hot, says Brad Noble. Super says, am I still? Yes, you are here. Oh my God, I'm so sorry, Brad. No, I'm so sorry, Super. I'm so sorry about that. I was going through the chat, and every time I accidentally stay on it for too long, a list pops up, and one of the options is hide from this channel, and that's what happened. So again, I'm so sorry that happened. Cobra Kaiser Soze, what's up? Welcome back. Since Solo Star Wars, a Soy Wars story failed, I guess no future for the reintroduction of Darth Maul. They put effort into the only cool moment in the whole film. I agree. That was the only cool moment. It was the only one I was like, oh, they brought him back, and it's not just in the comics. That's awesome. So I really do hope they do something with the character, but not with the current people running it. Brad says Super is way hot. And Seven says 170 degrees Celsius. That is damn hot. Random says my ramen is hot. RT says you don't have to agree with me, just throwing stuff out there, part of the discourse. I understand. The only reason why I said that was because I was getting so far behind the chat. So I'm sorry if I came across a certain way. I was just trying to catch up with the chat. Brad Noel says doubt it the hot shines. 70B, I love those alien symbols so much. Bitter says need a left trooper. RT says, yeah, what was having Star Wars characters dance all the time? It's a very good question, RT. RT says, Rose, why we like you. Jedi Starship says ramen noodles, yay. Brad Noel says counterpoints keep you balanced. No, I agree. RT says Daniel Craig was already doing the older Bond shtick. Yes, but I think Idris could bring something different to the character. Navy says, if you want an old Bond, bring back Sean Connery, bald and all. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And then Brad's like, back to trolling. RT says, if you really want a Bond, bring back the American guy from the TV teleplay. Brandon says, wait till Odin gets to that hot part. I got to it. RT says, I don't actually know. There's Jedi Starship's cookie for that awesome comment. Brandon says, this chat is hot. Absolutely. Brandon says, damn, I'm Paris Hilton now. Yep, that's hot. That's hot. Sharon Bergen says, do you mean Pierce Brosnan? Sheriff Burgess says, love Pierce Brosnan as Remington Steele. Interesting. I don't know that character. I liked him in Goldeneye. That's the only film I like him in personally, as far as like being James Bond. Eric Brown, what's up, Eric Brown? Welcome to the chat. It did not surprise me that they killed Luke. Just cannot believe they crapped him. They crapped on him so hard. Yeah, me too. Again, it would have made to me. I would have been able to accept it if he was actually Luke Skywalker instead of the shell of a man that they ended up giving us instead. Navy says, in fact, I'd pay to see a film. Navy says, in fact, I'd pay to see a film where Sean Connery and Clint Eastwood make insults at each other. That would be fantastic. Jason Clark says, wow, Odin, you haven't seen the movie The Rock. That means you must have been seriously living under a rock. LOL. Oh, I always love the cheesy comments. That's great. RT says, welcome to The Rock. Brad Noble says super is super hot. Super says, don't worry about it. Mistakes happen. Well, again, I just want to make sure because I did that to someone in an earlier, like my first or second live chat, and I don't think they ever came back. And so I felt really bad. So I just wanted to say it immediately. That way I didn't fall behind on that. Bitter says Connery was 41 when he did his last Bond movie. And Seven says you can type the name without @ and it will highlight too. Really? Okay. I didn't know that. Bitter says 44 when he did Zardos. Lando Skillers says C is for cookie. That's good enough for me. Brad Noel says, crap, here comes Lando. Welcome, Lando, back to the chat. And then Lando says, fine, I'm leaving. Brad, you drive everybody away. I'm only a minute behind now, so thank you all for slowing down, guys. And Seven says, hi, the droids. Brad Noble says, hot speak is over. I think it's because everyone was finally listening and calming down. Jason Clark says, Odin, just so you know, that did not highlight for me. Did you see my comment about the movie The Rock? I did, and I did really want to see it. I do really want to see the movie, but I do appreciate you. I must have been living under a rock. I love corny jokes. RD says they did the old Bond thin for the film Never Say Never Again. There says Harry Connery in a Borat bikini and ponytail is required viewing. Sharon says Remington Steele was an early 80s TV show when detective shows were big. That's pretty much how America got to know who Brosnan was. I was a fan. Awesome. Good to know. Brad says Steph got some Lando. RT says, isn't that this Zotar film better? And then 70B says Lando Calrissian. My toaster says Paige Her. All right, and 7 Myth says, yeah, it's got to have the full name without typos. Yeah, so, all right, so and 7 Myth, I think what you're saying is that you have the if you have the @ symbol and the whole name, then it highlights, because that's the only time that I ever see it. So glad to know that it works on a mobile, though, N7. If you could just maybe give an example just so I know that works, then I could promote that to other people. Wow, man, we had like 29 people in here still. That's awesome. And I'm caught up with the chat. Awesome. Navy says James Bond as a senior citizen would be great. Let's see. Brad Noel says it's a privilege to get Lando. Bitter says Zardos. Tina says, well, if we're getting into ages, Connery's 87 right now. Harrison Ford wants to play Indy, and he'll be 76 later. So that's a point. And 7 Odin, it is not highlighted. I'm telling you right now, it's not highlighted. RT says, hello. What have we here? Greta says, been up since 5 a.m. Should probably take it easy now. Have a good night, everyone. Hey, that's fine, Greta. I mean, get some sleep, girl, and please enjoy your week since you said it's going to be a little bit easier than this weekend. So hope you get to rest very well. Jedi Starship says, Lando, stay away from Rose Tico, Finn, and Mary Sue, and you will regret it. I know, especially the Pando Lando that we have going on right now. Keep your droids at bay. Hide your droids. Hide your wife, because Lando is going after everybody right now. And so MS Osby blog, I'm on PC. I'm just use the typing. So yeah, that did not highlight. So as I said, you need to put the @ symbol if you're on the if you're on your computer, and then names should pop up when you press Osby blog, and that's the only time so far I've seen it actually highlight for me. We'll have to figure out mobile in a second. Let's see. Navy says it's 5 a.m. here now. Why are you still on, Navy? Get some sleep, dude. We're about to wrap up, though. Tina says, remember, guys, if you want someone to see your message, you direct towards them, put an @ symbol in front of their username. Thank you very much for that, Tina. Yes. And also in future live chats, that's how I'm going to be talking and reading chats. RT says David Niven played an old Bond in the spoof film of Casino Royale. Navy says, all right, guys, I have to go now. Hey, me too. We're going to have to wrap things up pretty soon. For me, peace out. Peace out. Bye, Navy. Navy, you're awesome. Spirit Animal says Jedi Starship. Who is the troll now? Brad, you are still the troll. All right, guys, so I'm caught up with the chat now. It is now 10 o'clock. I was planning on just going to 10 o'clock, so I'm amazed that I actually was 30 minutes behind and caught up with everybody. So thank y'all for slowing down so that I could do that. I assume that's what happened. RT says, Lando says no hole is safe. Lando, you get a digital cookie for that. That's awesome. All right, guys, so I'm going to wrap up this chat. So please just give your last thoughts, last minute things that you want to say, and then we're going to call it a night because I need to head to bed soon. Super. Yes, that highlighted for me. Since it's open, if you're okay with it, curious to know your thoughts on the idea of Christian figures being passed down in history. So just clarify what you mean by Christian figures being passed down in history, and I'll be glad to answer that question before I go. Sammy B says, yay. Yes, absolutely. Caught up with the chat. LOL. So Sharon Ferguson. This chat was hot, says Brad Noble. Absolutely. Lando getting that digital cookie. But yeah, super. I'm definitely going to answer that question, though, before I go. So just clarify what you mean by on thoughts of Christian figures being passed down in history, and I will be glad to answer that. I'm surprised. I opened this up for questions on politics, religion, all those things, and no one really chomped at it. So I'm glad I finally get at least one of those questions before we end the chat. So yeah, I'm definitely going to read that. So let's see. Sharon says Remington Steele is on YouTube. All right, good to know. Jedi Starship. Good night, Odin. I'm sure you're glad to have the wifey back. Absolutely, I am. I'm so glad to have her back. It's all. I mean, I missed her. I missed her, and I know the puppies missed her too. Max says, don't forget to add the Abyss to the list. It is on the list. It is even boxed off. Let's see if I can get it on here. No, because the light is too strong. You can't see it, but it's on there. Trust me, it's on there. Good night, everyone. Good chat. Says N7 Myth. Good night. Brandovel says Lando carbon froze us. Lena says, don't give me a cookie. I have to watch my girlish figure. Yes, Lando. Bitter says we're cowards. Super says, for example, I've St. Peter being born of Osiris, or the Virgin Mary coming from the idea of an ancient Egyptian fertility goddess. All right, I understand. So what you're saying is Christian figures coming from other material or being adapted from other material. So yeah, I've actually never heard of Peter or the Virgin Mary being Virgin Mary more so, but mostly the prophecy of the Virgin Mary coming from other figures. But I just feel like there is enough. Just in my own research and my own study and my own reading, there is enough evidence out there to support, at least for St. Peter, that he was a real person that existed. We have enough writings to clarify it. And people oftentimes forget that we not only just have the Christian writings, but we also have a lot of writings from pagans as well who confirm that Jesus was a real person and confirm a lot of other people in that time period. So Peter is very likely a real person. So I believe everything that was written about, Peter, who he was, how close he was to Christ, things like that. And then the Virgin Mary as well. I think there's enough writing on her and also around that time period from not only Christians, but also non-Christians as well, that that would lend credibility to her being a real person. Yeah, so that's my stance on Christian figures in history. I think that I just don't think there's enough there. I think that there's enough for people to kind of ask those questions, but I don't accept that personally. 70 says, "Good night, everyone who needs rest." Hope also I answered that good enough for you, or at least in a sensible way. Brian says the deal was altered. Everyone is saying goodnight, Jedi, Lando, Corellian, Colt 45. Artie says random start a stream now. I know, keep this conversation going, random. If you want to jump on these people that are still in the stream, go ahead and start one up. So that way you can keep these people on, because there's a lot of people where it's midday for them right now, and so they're going to be on for a while. Starship says a smile at face. Lando says I love you all. RT says Lando Colt Forizian. RT says Jake Skywalker. Stephanie's blowing the kiss. Jason says, night, everybody. I need to get some sleep. Awesome chat. See you next time. Jason Clark, thanks for joining us once again. Always great to have you here. Shannon Ferguson says there are correlations between ancient Egyptian mythology, but there's correlations with other religions too. So I think it's a false argument to try and say Christianity is more of the same. Yeah, I agree with you. There's too many differences to Christianity too, because obviously, if you go back far enough, any person in history, you could probably find some correlation to in another society or in another religion, things like that. There's just so much out there. So that's the reason why I think it's too much of a stretch to say that they came from those persons. So Super says, oh yeah, Peter was certainly a real person. I'm speaking in reference to his role in heaven and Osiris' role in the underworld. Their roles are proposed to be similar. Yeah, but they're not, see, I think that comes mostly because most people don't understand the role of Peter and don't understand Peter as a person fully. I think that they read a lot of other people's perceptions of Peter. That's the reason why a lot of times we get that kind of argument, if that makes any sense. I feel like it's a misunderstanding of Peter and of these various historical figures in the time of Christ rather than anything else. So thank you, though. I love talking about that stuff. So thanks for asking that question. RT says religious discussion. Yeah, I mean, this was an open forum. This was meant to be. I have it in the description too. This was meant to be, because how a lot of videos I say, hey, save that for another chat when it's dedicated to religion or dedicated to theology, things like that. Because there were people who were asking, questions that I wanted to answer, but I just didn't feel like a lot of people would be interested in. And so that's what I was trying to open up for this one. But apparently, it was at the very end that we finally got one. So I appreciated that, though. Random says, can't tonight. People in the house will need to sleep soon. I'll be noisy. Oh, I'm sorry about that. Jenna says, perhaps we can talk religious implications in the Jedi. Ooh, on another chat for sure. So that's a time when I would talk about religion, because to me, I feel like there's enough there, Star Wars related, that people would find it interesting. Mex says, to everyone later. Thank you, Mex. Mex, you went silent for a little bit, so thanks for joining us once again. Mex, you're also always awesome. Sharon says, don't understand Egyptian mythology either. Yeah, same here. I'm not well versed in it. Artie says, who's Peter, one of the apostles? Yes. So Peter was the one chosen by Christ to have the keys to the kingdom of heaven. What does that mean? Well, it means that I think that's where the misconception awfully comes for. Because what does that mean that he has the keys to the kingdom of heaven? Well, what also was he? He was the rock upon which the church was built. What does that mean then? It means the church is the gateway to heaven. So that it means that. So it's not that we have an actual person, who's sitting at the gate waiting for people to come in. Oftentimes people understand it that way, but let's see. Super says, I know there are similarities in Greek mythos, but Egyptian myth is just what popped in my head. The argument was made in history class, and I thought it was interesting. I just don't think there's quite enough there. Sharon says, Jedi and religious implications. I'd sit on that. I would too. I would sit on that for another chat, because there's so much that can be said about it. Damn, Super. Alien, hope you're still here. Brandon, well, what? Stan Ferguson said, not sure I'd have much to contribute on Jedi religion. Yeah, me neither. But as far as religion and influencing the Jedi, I think I could probably enter into that. Tina says, discussing the Jedi religion might be interesting. I had a friend who told me her religion was Jedi, and she meant that seriously. I never asked her what connotations were. Oh, man, yeah, that could be totally interesting, because I was talking about it within the realm of the films. But yeah, there are definitely people that take that as a religion in the real world. RJ says, all right, Peter has keys to the kingdom. Yeah, absolutely. So, all right, guys, that's going to be a wrap for tonight. So have a good night, everybody. I just want to see if there's any last second things. All right. Yeah, super. Again, sorry for hiding you. I'm glad that I was able to fix that really quickly, though. And thanks for that question, too. Again, that was kind of the questions I was expecting tonight. So I was really glad to be able to answer one of those questions. And I hope that I answered it in a coherent way. But I am trying to wrap things up. So I wasn't able to go into too much detail. But thank you for that, super. I always appreciate you in this chat and everyone in this chat. If you're still watching, thank y'all so much. I so greatly appreciate y'all so much. And also, since I said I was going to do it, and since I got an email notification, I want to give a huge shout out if you're still watching in let's see, Nightwolf 001, Enrique Evangelista. I don't know, that's just what popped up. So Enrique, if you're still in the chat, thank you so much. You have become one of my patrons, so I appreciate that greatly. And guys, if you want to donate on Patreon, Ode's Movie Blog, find me there. Again, you don't have to, but if you want to, it's there. But I'm going to shout out anyone that's a patron is going to get a shout out at the end of every single live stream. And also, if you ever want me to say a name a certain way, or you want me to promote a channel or anything like that, just message me and let me know. And also, ozmovieblog@gmail.com if you want to email me any questions as well. So yeah, Tina says, glad I got to join, albeit late. I was too. You're always great. Always great to have you here, Sharon. Okay, good night, everyone. Glad I caught everyone. Everyone, best wishes. Absolutely, you too. RT says, Anime Star Stream. Stephanie says, be good, rest. Your watch has ended. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Always appreciate when you say that. RT says, somebody start a new stream. Sharon says, okay, we'll do. Tina, Lando, may the force be with you all. You too, Lando. Let's see. Super says, yes, you're good. I knew I brought it up late, but I wanted to know your thoughts. Thanks for hosting another great chat, and have a good night. You too, Super. It's always great to have you here. You're awesome. Group hug, except Lando, says Brad. Tina says, we'll check out your Patreon page. I've donated for July. We'll do it for August. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. He steals wallets. Yep. I'm talking about Lando. Lando says, ugh, Meg feelings. I love Lando. Tina says, may the force be with you all. RT says, is that Star Wars alien? Hugs, Jedi Starship. Yes, hugs, everyone. So thank you all so much for joining. Have a great night. And as always, God bless. Love you guys. Have a good night. Have a great week.